You know what today means? Today we're a little closer. It's Tuesday, but we're 2 days away. I really don't know what the music's going to be for baseball this year. This is the baseball on Fox music, but we're 2 days away from baseball. I'm kind of giddy. You got a lot going on right now. So I'm excited. We're only a couple of days away from the Brewers heading off to New York to face the Yankees in the opener coming up Thursday afternoon, which, by the way, is awesome because it happens like the minute we get off the air. So there is nothing obstructing the Bill Michaels Show. We get off the air, have your popcorn ready, and then again, you know what? Grill. I think that's what I'm going to do. If the weather's decent, I'm going to grill. I'm going to get something probably Wednesday, tonight or tomorrow night from our friends down there at Roberts. And the grill is going to open officially, and I'm going to fire up something. I don't know if it's going to be brats. I don't know if it's going to be hot dogs or maybe the pre-made burgers. I don't know, but something's going on the grill, and I'm going to sit down and watch some baseball. I'm excited about that. So we're only a couple of days away from that. It has gotten kind of quiet on the NFL free agency front. You get a few trickles here and there, but for the most part, everything seems to have at least subsided right now. So where does that leave the Green Bay Packers? We'll get into that discussion. Doc Rivers, and it is all over today, all over being discussed. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing and why are you doing it? Why are you this sensitive? But Doc Rivers did an interview in which he got kind of petty. And former players, not of his, but just former players are like, dude, you're not supposed to win 3, you're supposed to win 4. And championships are what it's all about. What are you doing? So we'll talk a little bit about that. We got our buddy Chuck Freeman coming up today, and we'll talk some baseball with him from the Locked On Brewers podcast. Justin Garcia. Justin started out years ago as when I was doing WTMJ, and I was doing the afternoon show plus Sports Central. And he was our intern at the time. And now Justin, he is now off doing the Bucks postgame show. So we're going to talk to Justin about his thoughts in regarding not only Doc Rivers, but the Bucks in general. The Bucks now 4-6 in their last 10, not trending in the right direction. Just they're not. And now the question, very quietly, is starting to seep out of. You're trying everything. What are you going to do? You can blow it up. You're not going to start over. You don't want to get rid of Giannis because you get rid of Giannis, and unless you got somebody waiting in the wings, the 5-serve forum, other than the concerts, becomes a giant paperweight. So what are you doing? Because it's not working. I've said all along, look, Doc Rivers, not the guy. What he said in this article and kind of the pettiness solidifies it for me. So we'll get into that discussion as well. But just really odd comments out of Doc Rivers. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hello to everybody over there on the live stream, to all of our friends in the cheap seats. How are we looking? Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you hanging out with us today. If you want to give us a buzz, 877-867-1670. You can find us. Text us 608-321-1670, 608-321-1670. You can now always watch the program over on YouTube. Go to youtube.com. That is youtube.com/Bill Michaels, Michaels, Bill Michaels Show. You can find us on Twitter, on X, at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. Find Grant at Wisco Grant. WISCO at Wisco Grant. You can track us down on the Instagram, on the Facebook, on the TikTok. TikTok apparently is, after getting a note, I guess we're going to get back in relatively soon. I would assume. I don't know what else to do. But for those of you who give a damn off of TikTok, that's your update. So there you have it. Find us, the Bill Michaels Show, on any one of those platforms. Same thing on the Twitch app, on the Kick app, on LinkedIn as well. You can find us there. Email the program, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. Thebillmichaels@gmail.com. Thebillmichaels.com is the website, the app, WOZN, The Zone Madison, our mighty flagship out of Madison, Wisconsin. And you can find us after the fact on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts as well. That's all back up and running now. And then on My 24 TV, 8 p.m. Saturday night, Wisconsin Sports Weekly with Bill Michaels. And, there you go. There's another one of those political calls that chimes in. I probably should have my phone turned off, but I'm going to do something regarding the political coming up because it's ridiculous. I keep blocking numbers, and they just figure out other numbers to get a hold of you. It's like just beyond annoying. So anyway, you can find us on My 24 TV, and that is on a Saturday night, 8 o'clock, Wisconsin Sports Weekly with Bill Michaels. Grant Bills, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm glad I didn't stay up to watch the end of the Bucks game live. I got caught up this morning because that just would have made me mad. Right. That just would have ticked me off the way that game ended. So I'm doing great this morning. I got a good night's sleep and I didn't go to bed angry.
You brought it up. Speaking of good night's sleep, I went to bed, I guess about 9:45. Was asleep relatively quickly after that. I woke up at about 1. Do you ever wake up in the middle of the night and you're like wide awake? I mean, just wide awake.
Yep.
I had these goofy, I might do them. I woke up with these goofy ideas. Speaking of the political ads and the drug companies, I'm flipping through the tube last night, and I'm watching nothing but the state Supreme Court ads and drug company ads. That's it. That's all it was. There was really nothing in between. So I guess that was in my mind, and I woke up and I thought I should do this. It would take a while, but I should do this. Put like a satire video together. Maybe I will. But it was annoying. So I woke up from about 1 until about 4:30 this morning, wide awake. Then I finally fell asleep, and then I started having weird dreams. I had a dream that Gina Della from Pella Windows was sleeping in my front yard. I don't know why.
That's awesome.
She was sleeping in my front yard under like this blanket of sod. And the phone rang, and I yelled out the window, "Gina, the phone's for you." And she got up, and I could see the sod moving, and she came walking into my house and took a phone call. I don't know why. Weird. Just thought I'd throw it out there.
She's just getting a peek at your windows.
I guess.
See if they need an upgrade.
I guess. She was sleeping in my front yard under the big maple tree, under the sod. And there was like shrubbery near her, and she got up and had this big mat that the sod sat on, and that's what she was sleeping under. So weird days. I don't know why.
I'm going to Google what that means.
Fine. I would love to know. It was weird. So that was my night last night. Finally fell back asleep, woke up this morning at about 10 till 7. And I got up, went and worked out, and came home dragging ass today. But I don't care. It's going to be a fun day. So anyway, that being said, the article from the Dunk Central, did you read this? Now, I did not read it. I heard the discussion ahead of time, and then I went back and read the article. And Doc Rivers seems kind of petty, doesn't he? In this thing?
Of course.
He says that he doesn't get enough credit for winning 3 games in the playoff series where he blew a 3-1 lead. He doesn't get enough credit for winning the 3 games where he blew a 3-1 series lead. Nobody tells the real story, he says, and I'm fine with that. Well, first of all, if you're fine with it, then you wouldn't bring it up. It's unfair in some ways. I don't get enough credit for getting the 3 wins. I get credit for losing. I always say, what if we had lost to Houston in 6? No one cares. One of the things that I'm proud of is we've never been swept. All the coaches have been swept in the playoffs. My teams achieve. A lot of them overachieve, and I'm very proud of that. What? That's... I guess I got to get context, but that's kind of embarrassing. As a guy, so. He's won a championship, but I that's kind of embarrassing and unbelievably petty.
I just don't know why he's bringing it up. Like, who cares? Right. You're coaching a good team. You're coaching Giannis right now.
Well, I think that's part of it. There's been a lot of criticism. If you've watched the NBA channel, and I listen to the NBA network in my car, and I know they talk, in incessantly about the NBA on the 4-letter network, and Doc's name gets brought up in the negative more than it does the positive. Many believe that the Bucks are a talented team that is underachieving. Like Giannis is the guy, and then that's it. He has wasted Dame. He has wasted some of the best years of Brook Lopez. He doesn't inspire guys to play harder. Some of his out of timeout plays are minuscule or rudimentary.
Look at what they tried last night. Yeah. They had a play where Giannis and I think AJ Green just ran into each other on the final play of the game.
It to the optics, it looks bad. His teams at times become lazy and uninspired. And I know Jim Ozarski's given us the behind the scenes where, you know, the guys know it's organized. The guy knows that he's a head coach, that he gets it and everything, and that he hasn't lost the locker room. But I don't know. I didn't like the hire from the beginning. I was impressed when he turned things around. I thought, okay, you know, give Doc some credit. And I did. But now I'm back to, I think these are the reasons why he's not as successful. And I go back and I'll stand by my statement that Doc Rivers won that championship with the Celtics because of the players. And the players won that championship almost in spite of Doc. You know, it's just, I've said that time and again. Teams that were supposed to be super teams that were uber talented, he coached, and everywhere he went, it blew up. It blew up. And now for him to come out and say this, I'm like, why are you, to say it doesn't matter and then go on and on about it? That it clearly matters and it clearly bothers him. And it's a bad look, quite frankly. It's a bad look. So I don't know what else to make of it, but I've never been, Doc's a nice guy. I don't have anything against him personally, but I just look at the teams that were put together, all these egos, and good coaches figure out a way behind the scenes to massage the egos and get them to excel and actually elevate each other. This is why people say, the Bulls would have won, no big deal. Phil Jackson didn't do anything. The Lakers would have won. Phil Jackson didn't do anything. I'm like, no. He did more for those teams because of the egos and because of the competitive nature and because of the explosivity behind the scenes of what could happen. And he kept it all anti-incendiary, and he had each guy elevate the other guy. And obviously you have an uber talent in Jordan and in Kobe and company, but you had those guys humble enough to continue to work hard to raise others. And no, I've always been in favor of Phil Jackson and for what he was capable of doing. And Doc, he's been handed really talented teams and they don't excel. They just don't. More often than not, they fail. And I put that on him. The common denominator in a lot of those uber talented teams is Doc Rivers and all those failures. So for this to come out and now people are criticizing it, I think it's warranted. I think it's sensitive, and to say it doesn't matter and then go on and on about it, it very much matters to him to get credit for something instead of credit for the failure. But his team was the one that gave up a 3-1 lead and lost. That's it. So I don't know. It's something we're definitely going to discuss. Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. Off to a fast start today. And yeah, Dwayne brings up a good point. How many years did we sign Doc for? Because the Bucks are still paying for Bud and Griffith and everybody else for that matter. They got a lot of money going to a lot of coaches. So Doc's not going anywhere anytime soon, but this is not going in the right direction. And at what point do you look at it? John Horst has certainly done everything he could. I don't blame John Horst. The only thing people point at is, wow, Holiday. But, you would have liked to have had Holiday last year, but right now, what he's doing is just pulling a lot of strings and throwing anything he can at the wall to try to see if something's going to stick. And it's not. And I don't necessarily blame that on John Horst. because he's assembled quite a legitimate group of talented players. He's done everything he could. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Being a Pella consultant means helping people build their dreams.
For Jenna, helping others find joy is so rewarding. It's why we love to do what we do.
I enjoy simplifying the process for the customer, taking the time to listen, and finding the right solution.
Randy understands that everyone's situation is different, so we don't just slap together cookie cutter solutions.
Customers really appreciate just how prepared we are. All the samples, the videos, pictures.
Jake arrives at your free in-home consultation with pre-prepared materials to fully envision your dream Pella build.
We're with you from start to finish. You literally have a friend from beginning to end and beyond with your project.
Whether you're working with Ryan or another Pella consultant, we don't go away after the sale. We're ready with anything you may need before, during, and after installation. And right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get 0% interest up to 72 months. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply in 3/31/2025.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back in the Bill Michaels Show. Continuing on, it is Taco Tuesday at our friends at Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill at Pewaukee Lake. Darts, tacos,
homemade wine, like
whatever sports are on the tube tonight. I don't even know what's on tonight, to be honest with you. But you've got, I would assume the women's college, the NCAA tournament, I think is on. You got NBA basketball that'll be on. So you got something on the tube tonight. But nevertheless, Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill, head over there. Taco Tuesday, they do really good enchiladas and such too. Really, really good. But go check that out. Lakeview Boulevard, Pewaukee, Wisconsin. And I think coming up this fall, we're going to team up with Curly's. I think we're going to do maybe a meat raffle or something for Big Unit Foundation. We're looking forward to that. Talking with Ryan Gardner, who's the owner over there. He'd like to do something with us. So I thought, let's do that because they've always been big supporters of ours. And we'd love to do something with them. And they're big supporters of a lot. I always tell you that they do a lot of different charitable things out there at Curly. So we're going to do something with those guys. So I'm looking forward to it. 877-867-1670. You want to find us, please feel free. Go ahead and do so. Brad in Sturgeon Bay, he said, Bill, Doc's words remind me of Mike McCarthy saying, hey, guys, I'm a highly successful football coach. That's right. That's a very good analogy. That's a very good analogy was when Mike got a little defensive and he had to tell everybody he's a good football coach. When you start to tell people you're good, that means the walls kind of feel like they're caving in on you. And I believe kind of that's where the Bucs are at. Bucs have lost 4 out of their, they're 4-6 in their last 10. 6 out of their last 10 they have lost, trending in the wrong direction. The roster, I don't know. I don't think it's a bad roster. I just don't see. I've said all along, it's a step slow. When you see what Cleveland did to them, when you see when they go up against Boston, you saw what they did against OKC. They're a step slow. And they're up against the salary cap. There's only so much money they can spend. There's only so much they can do. And the way the rules are in the NBA, it really does make it kind of difficult to make big trades because you got to trade money for money to make sure that you keep a lot of your hometown favorite pieces, the pieces that you've, groomed to come into your system there in your own backyard. It gives you the home team the distinct advantage. But I know they're trying. I don't lay this at the doorstep of John Horst. I thought maybe they should have hired Terry Stotts. I thought maybe they should have hired, Darvin Ham.
You should have hired Kenny Atkinson. Is what they should have done.
Kenny Atkinson.
Twice. They had a chance to do it twice.
There was opportunities. Nick Nurse was out there. There was just other guys. I mean, it's just. I'm not, and I know Bucs fans get mad. They get so mad because don't tell me this team's this and this team's that. I'm like, show me. They can't beat the elite teams consistently. And they're good. They're a good basketball team. They're just not a championship level basketball team. And the expectation was that when they won the championship, and granted, they stuck with, their quote version of the big three for a while. And Chris Middleton just couldn't get and remain healthy after he ended up, hurting the knee and the ankle. And it just kind of failed after that. And sometimes it's about some of the pieces and some of the youth coming together all at the same time. And it just, I don't know what else to say. It's just, I watch them. It's not like I don't root for them. I watch Bucs basketball. I enjoy Bucs basketball, but I also become extremely frustrated by Bucs basketball because I see the same thing every night. I see a team that plays competitive. They come out with fire. They get a lead, or they stay right there and go toe-to-toe. And then the rotation comes in. They'll fluctuate a little. They'll play really good basketball, maybe be up 5, down 5, going into the fourth quarter. And the fourth quarter collapse, you can pretty much guarantee it against the elite teams. They're not going to win in the fourth quarter. They don't have it. And it's not Dame's fault. I'll blame a lot of it on Giannis. And I know people get mad at that, but why is he the guy bringing the ball up the court? Why does he insist on that? Get down low where you should be and be the force around the paint. And instead he's bringing the ball up and he's chucking up threes. And look, it's not all Giannis, but it's like he's the straw that stirs the drink, and I get it. But there's this level of we have to take care of him or he could get mad. I guess. And I don't think Giannis would get totally mad. But I don't get it. You see other teams, man, run just fast ball movement, and the Bucks can't keep up, and the Bucks don't do that. Like I said, they're a step slow. They just are. And nobody has the balls to come in and say, this is the way we're going to run it. And we're going to make you better. Because I think that's all that Giannis wants is let's get the team better. But nobody has the balls to say it.
I just don't know on a night like last night, like Giannis is starting with because Dame's hurt.
Right.
And Doc gave no information about that injury. That worries me. But it's Giannis out there with Ryan Rollins and AJ Green and Kyle Kuzma and Brook Lopez, who, by the way, and I don't want to jinx it, Bucks fans, you should thank God every single night that Brook Lopez at this age can play this workload and be available when almost nobody else on the team can be. Like, Giannis just doesn't have much to work with. Like, I looked at that starting lineup last night. I'm like, oh God, it's Giannis and old Brook and nobody else.
Yeah. I mean, and I agree with that. I mean, I shouldn't blame all on Giannis in certain situations like that, but I've seen games where they've got their full complement. And I'm like the game in which Giannis took the last shot from half court. What is he doing? What's he doing? Come on. I mean, that's a joke. You know, it's basically Doc. I don't know what Doc does. I don't know. I don't see what he does where I look at him and I go, that's impressive. I don't know what buttons he's pushing that makes this team better.
Well, last night was the third game to my memory that they've lost at the buzzer. They lost to the Cavs in the first couple of weeks. They lost to the Pacers and gave up a 4-point play to lose the other night. And then last night they had the lead and they give up the buzzer beater that beats them, or not the buzzer beater. But so they've had these games situationally out of timeouts, defensively. They've just been a mess. And that's coaching, right? It has to be.
And I Andrew says, I don't think the Bucks are motivated. The perception becomes reality. They don't look motivated. It's a long season. It's a grind, whatever. But are you just waiting to flip the switch in the postseason? Which I pray to God, somewhere inside the Fiserv Forum, somebody's got you know how, like when you go into office buildings and then you have those like thermostats that are under the bubble of glass. I hope there's a switch somewhere. And that they flip it. Like they're just waiting for the postseason because maybe they are. And they can prove everybody wrong. That'd be great. Vikram says, face it, you want them to fail. I'm not facing that. That's a dumb statement. I'm pointing out the obvious. And if you disagree with it, explain to me why it's different. It's not wanting them to fail. I sit there and want them to win. It's great for everybody when they win. It's great for the city. It's great for the state. It's great for talk radio. It's great for all of us to when they win. That's like when people say you want the Packers to fail. No, not at all. Not at all. I want to see them win. But what do you see? Put it this way, Vikram. What do you see different? Tell us what you see that would give any of us sitting here today, whether it's over on the live stream or listening to this program, that would give us hope that this team is going to be legit come the postseason. Give me that. Give me that. Because I've given you all the reasons I can look at this team and go, here's why they're not going to win. But tell me why they are. Tell me why they are, because you can't. You can't. 877-867-1670 from the Bucks Radio Network. Justin Garcia, he's going to join us coming up next. So don't go anywhere. We'll ask him the same questions, like what's going on? Why does it look this way consistently? This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at MIBA, manufacturing hydrodynamic bearings for the power generation right here in our own backyard. They are looking for skilled CNC machinists right here in the state of Wisconsin. Not just Grafton, Wisconsin, but the state of Wisconsin. If you are quality, they are paying top dollar to get you. You can search for them on Indeed right now. MIBA Industrial Bearings in Grafton. M is in Michael, IBA Industrial Bearings in Grafton, Wisconsin. Call them direct, 262-337-2210. 262-337-2210. Check into them. Manufacturing hydrodynamic bearings for the power generation right here, right now, with so many different companies that they work with. And they're looking for really skilled CNC machinists that they're willing to pay top dollar for. MIBA Industrial Bearings in Grafton, Wisconsin. Again, 262-337-2210.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Kuzma looking. Lopez on the fade. Won't get it. Suns win.
Yeah, AJ kind of went too early. Knocked Giannis off strikes. We wanted Giannis to come up. Then he was supposed to pick Brook, and Brook was going over. So it is what it is.
Welcome back. The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. And they are now 4-6 in their last 10. The Bucks don't appear to be trending in the right direction at all at this point. Doc Rivers does an interview in which he wants credit for a 3-1 series lead, but yet his team ended up losing that series lead and ultimately losing the series. And that is getting wide criticism today. And to talk more about it, Justin Garcia, the Bucks Radio Network. Justin, how the heck have you been?
Bill, always good to catch up with you. Good. What about you?
I'm good. I keep picturing you walking around the studio in the Sansevelt pants and the white shoes from days gone by when you were our intern. Now look at you, man. It's fantastic.
Yeah, look how far we both come.
Right? Good stuff. Hey, now doing these night in and night out, you tell me what your impression of Doc Rivers is at this point, and then obviously the article where he wants credit for 3 games that his team won, but doesn't get enough credit for it because he ultimately takes the credit in a series in which his team lost after having a 3-1 series lead, and they ended up losing the next 3 games and lost the series. And for whatever reason, this sticks with him.
So I guess what I would say is I would love to have been able to hear this interview rather than just read it, because Doc, I mean, when you sit in on his press conferences and you'll hear, he'll say a lot of things in jest where he's only half kidding or half serious. And I wonder if that was part of the tone here. I think the larger point he's making, and he's talked about this a lot, is, look, it's hard to win in the NBA. So, give me credit for winning 3 games. Delicate approach, obviously, when you end up losing that series. But I think that's a larger point because we've heard him bring this up quite a bit in the past, 2 to 3 weeks here, when you look at losing to a Warriors team without Steph Curry, the Bucks winning games shorthanded as well. So he's just kind of made this point of it's not as easy as just let's go out there and play. This team's missing a player. It's easy to win. That's not the case in the league. I think just in overall what he's brought to the team, and look, he's a very polarizing figure and a coach. For that reason, you can point to some of those playoff records. I do think he brought a lot of structure and organization and just built-in knowledge and experience that this team was sorely lacking and really needed right around this time a year ago. I think when you listen to the players talk about the impact that Doc has had on them in terms, especially on the defensive side, we can get into the offense, which has been a much different conversation, but just knowing, hey, what are we supposed to do, and level setting expectations. When he started, he didn't so much focus on, I told them we're going to do this, this, and this, as much as he said, we looked at everything this team was doing and basically said, you don't do that. We don't want this guy to do this. And Pat Connaughton, Bobby Portis, Giannis, and other players talked at the time about getting those expectations put out there and told, this is what I'm expected to do. That was a big change for us. And it was frankly one we needed that we didn't have the first half of the season. So I do think he's been better for this team than he gets credit for on that front. But the rest of it, I mean, he's not going to be able to shake it. Even if Doc Rivers wins another championship here, that's always going to stick to him. He knows it. And I think at times he has fun with it and kids around about it.
So I guess my next question is, when you give us some of the examples of how maybe things have been better, I don't see it consistently on the floor. And that's my biggest argument. Now, granted, there are some things where this team is older. They look slower. I watched them play against Boston. I watched them play against Cleveland. I watched them play against the Thunder. And in all instances, they just look a step slow. They just look like they're not at that same level. So I understand it. They're a good basketball team. Do you believe this team is more talented than their record, or they're about where maybe they should be?
That's a good question. I mean, I think they're probably about where they should be. I mean, They might be slightly more talented, but the big change, they have gotten a little more athletic. But look, you're not going to run from still having one of the older rosters in the league. And guys like Kyle Kuzma, again, the defense has been there, and you've certainly seen his ability to get out and run and pick up multiple positions. But the trade that you made was really twofold. It's got you a little more youth and athleticism, but it also kind of moved away from a top-heavy approach to the roster. And the Bucks aren't the only team doing this. It's going to continue to happen. I think we're all waiting to see when the Boston Celtics move to that approach as well. It set them up in a much better spot this summer and going forward because of the money you were paying that trio of Giannis, Damian Lillard, and Chris Middleton. And it wasn't really an issue until the games played were starting to become a factor. And look, we're fine with constructing our roster this way if we know we're going to have these guys every single game. And that just wasn't the case for the last year. So that became tougher and tougher to get by on. They do have a lot of flexibility this summer, but again, you're an older roster that, you look at, you got Giannis and Damian Lillard together now, you have to make the most of it. And to your point about the athleticism of other teams that we've seen, like, can you sit here right now and say, hey, the Bucks are just as good as the Celtics or the Cleveland Cavaliers? In this moment, no, I don't think you can sit there and say that. But the belief is we feel really strongly about our defense. And, for as much of an issue as it was a year ago, we haven't talked about it once this year because the Bucks have consistently been one of the 10 best defenses in the league. And in the second half of the season, they've been one of the 5 best defenses. It's been the offense, which is the tough part to fathom with Giannis and Damian Lillard on the same team. But now you're running into this stretch where Damian Lillard is unavailable. And some of the things that Doc had to say last night really make you question, well, when is Damian Lillard going to come back? Because the thought is we feel good about our defense. We've improved our role players, and I think they have one of the best benches in the league, but none of that matters if you don't have Giannis and Damian Lillard, not only on the floor, but playing to the level that they're capable of. And that's what this team has just not had for the last 3 seasons.
To me, I think it's all about the postseason. It's just about get healthy for the postseason. And then there is going to be some, I don't want to say magical flipping of the switch, but almost that's what I'm looking for, where all of a sudden, okay, everybody's back, Bobby's back, fresh legs, the whole thing. And then that's when it really matters to them. Are we looking at that kind of a scenario where just get through the season, just try to remain in the top 4, and then we'll flip the switch once we get there?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough with the flip the switch thing, but I do know that their belief is, look, wherever the cards fall, as long as we're healthy, if it means we got a more difficult road and you got to go through the Knicks in the first round and then the Celtics in the second round and the Cavs, if we're healthy, we'll take our chances because we believe in Giannis and Damian Lillard that much. It is, I don't know if I'd use the word concerning, but we've seen 3 straight games where Dame has been out. It's going to be interesting to see that injury report later today for tomorrow's game against the Nuggets and see where Damian Lillard is at, because Doc Rivers was asked before the game yesterday, is he progressing to the levels that you would like to see? If he's day-to-day, you're usually on the injury report as questionable, and he's just been ruled out the day of the game every single time. And Doc himself said, no, he's obviously not progressing if he's not playing, but I think that's the thing we're waiting to see is how much of this is, all right, this is a significant thing that Dame is dealing with versus he's not 100%. We've had 3 straight postseasons where one or multiple guys have gone down. Let's just take our time here and make sure he is 100%. Because at this point, the reality too is it might be 5 is your best case scenario. You're now 2 games back of the Indiana Pacers. You do have the tiebreaker, but man, Indiana has not lost since losing to the Bucks that Saturday night in Milwaukee. And that 2-game difference with 11 games left, that's a lot. It may not seem like it, but if the Pacers go 7-4, which is basically the rate they've been playing at, that means you got to go 9-2 the rest of the way to tie the Pacers with some still challenging teams on the schedule. So it's getting closer and closer to the point where you're looking at, okay, this 5 seed is probably where we're going to finish. And then that makes those final 2 games with the Pistons all the more big the last week of the season.
And again, if Dame has to sit out until the end of the season, I'm good with that. As long as they are back to full strength by the time they get to the postseason and they don't lose a lot, of ground over this. So I'm good with that. I just tell me when they get to the postseason, what Giannis is Giannis. We all know that. And Dame.
So you want the hope.
You want to so there's hope. So is it the fact that they're all of a sudden Brook Lopez, like you mentioned, Brook Lopez, but that guy, God, he's just a machine. But he's coming up to the end of his deal, and how much can you beat on him in the postseason? You've got Kuzma, who has been somewhat impressive at times. You've got some young guys that have had the ability to kind of give you a little bit of energy. You're hoping to get Bobby Portis back, but what makes me believe that they are then going to be able to overcome some of the things that we have seen throughout the season just because we're in the postseason?
So, candidly, it's tricky. Like last year, if you look back at it, you at least had data points along the way that you could say, okay, I believe in this team for this reason. Their record against the 10 best teams in the league and their net rating in those games. The fact that they're starting 5 when it was Malik Beasley in there, that was the best 5-man grouping out there in the league throughout the course of the season. So you had some of these things you could point to and say, yeah, I don't know if flip the switch is the right way to put it, but I do believe in this team when you get to the playoffs. This year, you haven't had as many of those data points. I think that's been the biggest challenge and struggle in trying to really decipher what do we see in this group. That it's, I've joked a lot that hope is not a strategy, but it's really hope is right. What you would sell is, look, if Giannis is healthy and Damian Lillard is healthy, we like our chances against anyone. And I get that. And I feel very strongly about that as well. But you don't have that record against the best teams in the league. I mean, you're potentially going to be 0-10 against the top 3 seeds in the Eastern Conference, depending on what happens Friday night when you host the Knicks. Western Conference isn't much better either. They haven't been good on the road. Their net rating hasn't been great. I mean, these numbers have gotten better over the course of the season, but I think what you really would hang your hat on is, look, we have a defense that we really feel good about, and that is consistently gone from the bottom 10 and at times bottom 5 a season ago with most of the same personnel. It's been one of the 10 best, if not 5 best in the league this season. So we have a defense that is going to translate into the playoffs. We still like the makeup of our roster and our bench guys, especially. Now, granted, the shots haven't been falling recently, especially for AJ Green, but a few of those guys have talked about, I think this is, especially when we get pieces back, I think this is the best bench in the league with guys like Gary Trent Jr. and AJ Green and Bobby Portis when he's back in the mix. Even what we're seeing from Kevin Porter Jr. and Ryan Rollins, we feel good about the makeup of this group. We got those 2 stars, and we saw in limited window last year in the first round what Damian Lillard did to take it up another level in the postseason before that injury hit. So right now, that's it. Look, any series we play in the Eastern Conference, we are going to have the best player on the floor, but you need Damian Lillard to be the second or third best player on the floor in those series.
Justin, always a pleasure, pal. We'll touch base, maybe come the postseason and get you back on, okay?
Sounds good, Bill. Good to catch up with you.
You too, buddy. Talk to you soon. There you go. That's our guy, Justin Garcia. Bucks Radio Network does the pre and post, and great to talk to him and pick his brain. And he's a lot like us down the same path. It's like there's a few analytics, there's some decent defense, and then there's hope. And I guess hope is, until you're out of it, hope springs eternal. And that's what you've got to kind of glom onto, to be perfectly honest with you. So we'll take it. Hope is hope. We'll take it for right now. See what happens. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Stenny's, Second and National, Walker's Point, also in Watertown, out there in Lake Country in Pewaukee. And we are going to be at Second and National next Monday, less than a week away. We're going to be down there for the Brewers home opener, and I cannot wait to get down there to just do our annual show, kicking off Brewers baseball at home. So excited about this. And get your seat, get yourself something to eat before you jump on the shuttle bus and head over to American Family Field to check out the Brewers and the Kansas City Royals. Don't forget, all season long, Bucks postseason, Admirals postseason, also Brewers season. They run shuttles to everything, Summerfest, concerts, you name it. They've got it going on. That's our friends at Stenny's, Second and National, Walker's Point. Great food, great beverages, great staff. Let them do the driving. That's your beginning and your end point for any great event. Stenny's, Second and National, Walker's Point. Stenny's, Watertown Road in Pewaukee. As they say, you should be here.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Sunny Tuesday. Not windy, not raining. I like that. Although, I did wake up today, and I did get the news. Now, again, it's very preliminary. But I was watching this morning's forecast, the extended forecast, Grant. They're calling for snow on Monday. Snow on Monday, which... on one hand, I'm like, it's March 31st. It's Wisconsin. I mean, we've seen snow flurries and such on opening day before. Nothing new here. And then on the other hand, I'm thinking, we're at Stenny's. We're inside. We got wings. We got a Bloody Mary. We're getting ready to go to the ballpark where we've got a roof. I'm okay with that. It's not like we're out doing a tailgate,
Yeah, and it can't be worse than what it was last year. It was disgusting last year. It rained all morning and then it switched to snow.
Right.
It can't be. Well, I suppose it could be, but it can't be. Let's put it this way: it can't be much worse than it was last year. I guess it could be a little worse, but it was pretty nasty last year, and it worked out just fine.
I remember the first year I was here in '99. God, we were in the old WTMJ craptastic panel van, and we left the van running. This was before internet broadcasts. So it wasn't like you were, you either had, what was the old hard line? I can't remember what they called it. But it wasn't an internet. You weren't using the internet like you use today.
Using a Marty unit or something like that?
It was a Marty unit, but there was another line that they used to call it. And we haven't used it in so many years. I kind of forgot what it is.
Can and a string.
Yeah, basically. But I remember standing outside of County Stadium, and County Stadium's coming to the end. Construction is going on at the time of Miller Park, and snow is blowing sideways. And I remember we were taking turns kind of when we would be on the air, we'd jump outside and we were with the fans. And the minute that we were done with the hit, it was like, jump back in the van, just try to get warm. Just try to get warm at that period of time. And it was like, wow, it's winter in Wisconsin, and it holds on and holds on. I remember one year we had 6 inches of snow on Mother's Day. So you're never in the clear until really you get to May. So we shouldn't be too surprised by this, but it does tamp down a little bit of the energy, I guess, around American Family Field when you have snow flurries and wind and such, because people want to go tailgate. They want, the grills are out for the first time. The tents are up, you've got music on, and people are either throwing baseballs or football in the parking lot or bags. And, you want that. You're excited for that. You're giddy for that. And then to have it kind of be, snow and whatever muck we're going to get. Now, again, it's Tuesday and we're, still 6 days away from the actual forecast. But nevertheless, I saw that extended forecast today where it's going to rain on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And this Sunday night, it flips over to snow, and it's snow on Monday morning. I'm like, oh, crap. I was just kind of hoping that we would get one of those, hey, by the way, it's going to be sunny and 65, which would be perfect for an opening day in Wisconsin. But thank God we've got the roof, right? Otherwise, they'd be playing outside in that garbage and playing to a packed house for about 3 or 4 innings. And then after that, everybody would start to, head to parts unknown and try to warm back up. But excited about opening day nonetheless. Brewers are on the road, opening up in New York, coming up on Thursday. But so we got baseball coming up over the weekend. I'm excited about that. And then you got more basketball beginning on Thursday as well. So good stuff. We got 1 hour down that fast. Boom. We got one done. We got 3 more yet to go. Don't go anywhere. Whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Giannis Antetokounmpo had 31 points. Brooke Lopez added 23 and would miss a jumper at the end to tie the game as the Bucks would go on to lose in Phoenix to the Suns 108-106. With Damian Lillard and Jericho Sims both out, Brooke Lopez had 41 minutes said, "This is what it's all about."
I'm good to go. I'll do whatever the team asks of me. I love doing this. I want to do it as long as I can, so I'm happy to be out there with my guys.
Now, this is a tough loss for the Bucks, who are fighting for the number 3 through 6 seed playoff positions in the Eastern Conference with the Knicks, Pacers, and Pistons. The Deer currently sit 5th in the East with a record of 40-31. Milwaukee will now finish out their West Coast road trip when they go to Denver to face the Nuggets tomorrow. To college basketball, yesterday saw the transfer portal open, and there's been reports that the Badgers are in contact with Quentin Mincy. Mincy, who is a 6'6 shooter, is a 5th-year senior in 2025 who is seeking a hardship waiver for 1 more year. He spent the previous 4 at UMass Lowell.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
As the #1 farm insurer in Wisconsin, Rural Mutual Insurance is rewarding their farm policyholders for their loyalty and commitment to Wisconsin agriculture through their farm dividend program. The farm dividend pays up to 5% back on your farm premium. Visit ruralmutual.com to learn how you could qualify.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
The Brewers had their final spring training game yesterday. They defeated the Rockies 4-2. That also saw the Brewers finish spring training with a record of 16-14-1. Now turn their attention to the New York Yankees, as opening day will be Thursday out in New York. It'll be Brewers ace Freddie Peralta opposite of Yankees ace Carlos Rodon. Again, it'll be opening day Thursday. First pitch coming at 2:05. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Yes! How we're looking. On a Tuesday edition of the Bill Michaels Show, we are excited that you are here today. We are excited for our friends over there on the live stream, the cheap seats. Welcome in to everybody, to those of you listening all throughout the great state of Wisconsin, now that everybody is on the network, from up at WJJQ all the way up in Tomahawk, Wisconsin, down to our friends at PBL and Platteville and everybody in between. Thanks so much for taking a listen to us. Our friends out there in Madison, Wisconsin, on the Mighty Zone, WOZN, listening to us there and all the surrounding areas. A reminder, we are going to be coming to that area. We're going to be in Columbus, Wisconsin, a week from Friday. Columbus, Wisconsin, a week from Friday. And apparently we are going to be doing the show off the back of a toy hauler, which I'm kind of excited about. Off the back of a toy hauler. You know what a toy hauler is, Grant? By any chance?
Type of RV.
Type of RV where the back tailgate comes down and you can either pull motorcycles or UTV, ATV, even small mini car type of into, but in a toy hauler. So they're going to put the back down and put us up in the back portion of this toy hauler right there in the showroom, and that's where we are going to be. So I'm excited. They sent me the information today. I'm looking forward to it. We are in contact with Amy and the gang and everybody over there at and Mitch, everybody over there at Marquardt RV in Columbus, Wisconsin. But we're going to be there next Friday, not this Friday, but next Friday, a week from Friday. And I'm excited to see what the 2025 version of Big Unit Cruiser is going to be. We still have not seen it. They're holding me emotionally hostage, I guess, at this point. We're excited, though. So, but we'll have that out there for you, too. Hopefully. I think things are coming along, but hopefully. So we'll find out. But I'm excited. And I did say this. I did say to them, thanks so much. I sent them a big appreciative note because the money that was raised in using the RV at the gala this past Saturday night was big in our success. That vehicle, and I wanted to tell them whether they knew it or not, raised over $5,000, $7,000, $10,000 in the two different trips that we're going to take. So it was wonderful, and the fact that we get a chance to work with such a great place and great people and people that really believe in service and also believe in community and commitment. It's a wonderful, wonderful relationship. So thanks to our friends at Marquardt RV for being a part of it. And by the way, I did want to make a mention of this, but they have their grand opening, which is coming up for that particular location, April 3rd through the 6th, Columbus, Wisconsin. You can save thousands of dollars with the grand opening deals that they're also doing. And you can enter to win. They are putting up a Blackstone big grill. They have got some of those heated seats that look like couches that are fold-outs. They've got bounce houses for the kids. They've got our live on-site broadcast. They've got what is called Nonstop Fusion, NAAN, Nonstop Fusion, Saturday and Sunday for food that's going to be out there on site. So plenty of reasons to show up and come and hang out with us. But I'm excited about the opportunity. I love this stuff. It'll make me just like start drooling for summer. I mean, there's plenty of things. I think of the boat, I think of the motorcycle, and I think of the RV. And when you're sitting in a showroom, basically in a campsite setup, but in the middle of a showroom, you're really anticipating warmer weather and getting out and about and starting to travel. And we have, like I said, we've got requests for all over the state to do travel trips and appearances and such. And I'm really excited to get into this. So the grand opening super sale coming April 3rd through the 6th at Marquardt RV, Columbus, Wisconsin. And they tell you that if you come out and join us, whether it's that Friday for our broadcast or Saturday or Sunday, come out with thousands. They're going to save thousands on grand opening deals that they're going to have out there. And that's our friends at Marquardt RV. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. If you want to hit us up, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Text us, 608-321-1670. YouTube, great way to watch the program, participate in the show, and continue to subscribe there. We don't charge you for it. Go to youtube.com, youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show, youtube.com/Bill Michaels, Michaels Show. And you can find us there. Watch the program. We are on Twitter, on X at Bill_Michaels. Find Grant at Wisco Grant. You can find us on the social media platforms of Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitch TV, Kick TV, LinkedIn as well. All those under the The Bill Michaels Show, or a combination thereof. You can also email the program, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. The website, simply thebillmichaels.com. The app is WOZN, The Zone Madison. And after the fact on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts as well. My 24 TV in Milwaukee every Saturday night, 8 o'clock. You can watch Wisconsin Sports Weekly with Bill Michaels and Grant Bills alongside. That television program as well, that airs. And good news, it's not the great news that I wanted to give you, but it's good news nonetheless, that I did see the semifinal rendering of the store for all the Bill Michaels Show apparel, along with Big Unit Foundation, and the proceeds going to the foundation. So I did see the store, and we have our final meeting on Tuesday. So it won't be open this weekend, but the new store is going to be open up, I believe, by next week. And we are going to have a whole bunch of different apparel, and you can order it and hopefully get it out within a couple of days for your golf season and whatever it is you have going on. And then don't forget, the proceeds go to Big Unit Foundation, which supports our veterans, military members, and first responders and their families. And we do random acts of kindness through donations and support. And it's in all of our Wisconsin communities, not just in my backyard, but all throughout the great state of Wisconsin. And if you'd like to see more as far as making a donation, you can do it directly. Go to bigunitfoundation.com. And $5-10 all the way up to, I think, $50 or $100, I think, is what we don't, we always take bigger donations, which is great. But a lot of people just say, I got $10 and I'd like to help, and everything helps. So I just want to let you know. So all the apparel should be ready to go next week. So that was one of my big announcements that I was hoping we'd get it done by this week, by Friday, but by next week it'll be up and running. So I'm excited about that. What else do we have? So here's the one thing: the time right now for NFL free agency. There's things that are trickling in, and there's some, a little bit of news here, a little bit of news there. Not much going on. And I was asked yesterday, was why are the Packers still so quiet? And my question was, what do you want them to do? What do you want them to do? And, it's easy to say, well, you got to get the number one wide receiver, or you got to go find the edge rusher. There's not a lot of those guys out there. There's not that, So right now, I think you're just looking forward to the draft. I mean, that's it. You're just looking to the draft. And I think with the pro day that he had yesterday, everybody seems to think that Cam Ward has solidified himself as the number one overall pick for the Tennessee Titans. Everybody believes that it's going to be probably Travis Hunter, the corner / wide receiver going to the Browns, coming out of Colorado. That Shedeur Sanders most likely is going to end up as the New York Giants selection at quarterback. Now, if that changes because they pick up Aaron Rodgers, we'll wait and see. I would assume they would still go with Shedeur Sanders, but who knows what they end up doing if indeed Rodgers decides to walk through that door. By the way, I saw again, every day there's discussion of Aaron Rodgers, but, they picked up, the Giants picked up Jameis Winston. You assume they're going to draft Shedeur Sanders. And with Winston becoming the backup, so Shedeur Sanders becoming their next guy, I don't know that there's another team out there for Aaron Rodgers right now to make the decision where he wants to go. So you just assume he's going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler unless something just knocks your socks off. But that's unless the whole thing with Cleveland reignites, which maybe the Browns fall on their head and give him some kind of a ridiculous contract where he just goes for the money. They're not ready to win a championship by any stretch of the imagination. And I can't imagine Aaron Rodgers wanting to go there. But that's the only other team that I could fathom that would get his services, unless he's indeed saying there could be something to this Vikings thing that they're going to watch JJ McCarthy in one of the OTAs or the mini camps to see how he reacts and comes back and what he's I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else is going on. I know that JJ McCarthy said I don't know what story it was, who he said it to, but basically said, I've not been told that I'm the number one QB just yet. Nobody's made that clear to me, certainly with what's gone on. It seems that they are trending in that direction, but he said he's not been officially told that he's the starting quarterback or that he's QB1 right now. So maybe that's what Rodgers is, kind of holding out for. I know fans in Pittsburgh are mad, but beyond that, it's like there's between today and tomorrow, between today and the draft, I really don't think there's any reason to jump to that conclusion at this point in time. But other than that, there's nothing else going on out there. There's nothing else going on. I did get an email, and this is from Dave, who says, what are your thoughts on Abdul Carter, the edge rusher out of Penn State? He would be the edge rusher the Packers are looking for. I would agree, or at least seemingly agree, but he's top 5. There's no way in hell that the Packers are jumping up to the 5th overall pick to get, or 4th overall pick to get Abdul Carter. I don't see that happening. So, I mean, to answer your question, yeah, hell of an edge rusher. Take him in a heartbeat. If he falls to the Packers, you're snatching him up. But I don't even think they could even – who's the kid out of Georgia? Mikael Williams, is that his name? I think it's Mikael Williams. I don't even think they could get up to get him. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's a guy that's kind of projected near the top 10. So, I think at this point in time, you're looking for maybe one of the wide receivers that are out there. I think Matthew Golden, depending on what kind of how the board begins to fall, he could end up between 15 and 20. And if you have to trade up to get a guy like that, now the edge rusher, the kid out of Tennessee, that what is his name? Pierce. That's his last name, I think. Pierce. The kid out of Tennessee. He's an edge rusher. They could go in that direction. Other than that, I don't know. Do you take Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M?
I bet the Packers would love to take that guy if he's available.
Yeah, if he's available, they'd be able to go after him.
He tested so well, he might not last that long.
Right. I think he moved up. Trying to think who else would be there. There's the kid, the corner, what was this, Hairston out of Kentucky, Maxwell Hairston. That's something that's another guy that might be there. That, again, I go back to Egbuka out of Ohio State. Depending on which mock draft you look at, he's sitting in that range where the Packers could end up picking him up. So I think there's enough there that you're going to get two things. You're going to get a quality player and fill a hole, a need in the draft, at least with the first round. But I don't know if the Packers are going to be able to get a guy like that. I know there's the Ravel out of East Carolina, I think. Is Carolina? No, it's East Carolina. East Carolina that he's out of. He's a corner they could be looking for if he ends up falling to them. Now, again, he only played 3 games last year because he tore his ACL, but he had 2 interceptions in those games. He has what they call great length. I saw a lot of people raving about him, but again, I'm a little leery of a guy coming off of an injury. I just am, because you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know the speed. You don't know the explosivity. You don't know, because they usually don't return to being really a good player until the year after they come back from the injury. So I don't even know if I'd go in that direction, because what you're looking for is an impact player at this point. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you got somebody you're looking at, give me a shout, as far as the first round, second round choices go. But I don't think right now that the Packers have anything specific. There's no blockbuster out there unless there's a trade. There's no big name out there that's going to fill a hole. You're not going to find wide receiver number 1. You're not going to find that edge rusher number 1 right now unless there's a deal to be made, trade to be made. So I think right now it's just, for the next few weeks, it's just quiet until we get to the NFL draft. And I think that's fine. You know, the Packers, they move like an iceberg anyway. I think that's fine. So I'm not overly concerned about it. 877-867-1670. Give us a shout. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Being a Pella consultant means helping people build their dreams.
For Jenna, helping others find joy is so rewarding. It's why we love to do what we do.
I enjoy simplifying the process for the customer, taking the time to listen and finding the right solution.
Randy understands that everyone's situation is different, so we don't just slap together cookie cutter solutions.
Customers really appreciate just how prepared we are. All the samples, the videos, pictures.
Jake arrives at your free in-home consultation with pre-prepared materials to fully envision your dream Pella build.
We're with you from start to finish. You literally have a friend from beginning to end and beyond with your project.
Whether you're working with Ryan or another Pella consultant, we don't go away after the sale. We're ready with anything you may need before, during, and after installation. And right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get 0% interest up to 72 months. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply in 3/31/2025.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling.
Welcome back.
Bill Michaels Show. How are we looking? This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Burn Pit Barbecue. Go to burnpitbbq.com. That is burnpitbbq.com. Veteran-owned sauces, hot sauces, rubs. They got something for everybody. The griller in your family would appreciate a big old pack from our friends at Burn Pit Barbecue, and look for them all over Wisconsin and all these different fairs and all the different outdoor shows and such as well. They do so many of those things. And the cool thing is they let you taste stuff while you're there. They usually put out a bunch of different samples. I know that they set up tables at Wednesday Night Live and such, which is not far away. I think the end of May is when I know that the beer garden is going to open, but then Wednesday Night Live is going to be back, and I know they're out there for that. And but they do stuff all over the state. So Burn Pit Barbecue, they were just out in Madison not too long ago. Burnpitbbq.com. And whether it's the pogie sauce or whether it's some of the rubs that I just love, I can't wait for grilling season for the big steak, thick cut pork chops from Roberts. And I put a little bit of oil on those things, and I use some of the rub from Burn Pit, and I put it on there, a little bit of salt and pepper, and then you just kind of cake it. And then you throw it on the grill, and it just marbleizes or caramelizes, I should say. Oh, my God, it's so good. I'm starting to drool. It's so good. Maybe I'll do one of those for opening day coming up on Thursday. Maybe I'll do that instead. Now that I've talked myself into it, now I'm drooling on myself. Veteran-owned, based in Wisconsin. They started right here in their garage. And I love local. I love great stories, and I love the veterans. That's burnpitbbq.com. That is burnpitbbq.com. Good stuff. Let's see here. What else do we have? 877-867-1670. This one is from Jan. Jan says, I read this earlier, Jan, and I didn't mean to ignore you, but she says, and Jan is in Wauwatosa. She said, selling the euchre stuff at American Family Field. She said, while I want to buy some of the shirts, does it feel like the Brewers are trying to make a buck off of Bob's death? And that is from Jan. No. I can see where you would think that, but I got to be honest, Jan. When I saw all the euchre stuff, never had a problem with it. I thought, it's a great tribute. How many, think about it. How many people are going to be walking around the city of Milwaukee as Brewers fans, or the state of Wisconsin as Brewers fans, wearing Bob Euchre stuff? I think it's cool. I mean, you're never around, obviously once you pass, you can't see the impact that you've had on people's lives. But what a tribute to that voice of generations to have his name everywhere, I don't know. I mean, I guess, if you do it and you're donating money to a charity, or, Bob obviously had cancer. Maybe it goes to cancer research or something. Maybe it does good in twofold. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the plans are, to be perfectly honest with you. I haven't talked to anybody about it, but I don't have a problem with it. And I'll say this. Do you think out of all the jerseys and such that are sold at American Family Field and on the website and all that different stuff, out of all of that, do you think the Bob Euchre shirts begin to outnumber the players? I mean, there's Euchre t-shirts, there's Euchre stuff with like a microphone and all this different stuff. But wouldn't it be kind of cool just to sell a Euchre jersey? And wouldn't you start seeing, I would guess, to be perfectly honest with you, that there would be more Euchre jerseys than you would see of Yelich and Braun and Fielder, and you start going through the list of, and even then again, you're not going to outdo Yount, I'll tell you that. But I would probably venture a guess that you would start to see more and more and more Euchre jerseys. And again, if they do something with the money and they say, hey, we're going to make a charitable donation towards cancer research in the name of Bob for all the merchandise that they sell with Bob's name on it, I guess I don't know. But that'd be kind of cool. But I don't have a problem with it. Grant, to you, does it seem kind of ick factor with, I don't think of it that way, but some people do.
No, because I think Brewers fans would want that, and they'd buy it and they'd wear it proudly. I don't, I'm trying to think of a situation in which it would feel like the Brewers are capitalizing. I can't really think of one. Bob was a beloved figure. How is it different from, selling a jersey? I realize he just passed away, but they've sold Bob Uecker merch for, I mean, I can't think of specific examples, but there have been Bob Uecker bobbleheads or shirt. Like, it's not like they just started making Uecker merch and selling it. He's been a fan favorite and a point of emphasis for the Brewers for a long time.
Right. I don't have a problem with it, to be honest with you. And like you said, they've sold Bob Uecker stuff before. I mean, there's Bob Uecker bobbleheads and such that you can buy. So it's not like they're all of a sudden just starting to sell Uecker stuff. So I don't have an issue with it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Vikram says, who's excited to see Bill Schroeder, The Rock, on ESPN on Thursday? I am. Him and Joe Buck. I'm excited about that. I'm looking forward to it. That's fantastic. I'm good with that. What else do we have? Somebody said, are the Colts going after Trey Hendrickson? Is that the rumor that's floating around? Somebody just said that on the live stream, and I lost it. It's flown past me.
I guess there's interest. Yeah. There's a couple stories this morning. There's a link, but doesn't seem too serious yet.
Yeah. Here's the thing, and we talked about this before. Everybody's going to have interest. It's one, what are you willing to part with? Two, remember, his people are the ones that are shopping him. And then the Bengals would have to agree to that. I'll tell you this, though. Say the Colts do get him. Say the Colts just go all in, and they just say, look, we're going to give up 2 1s. And Cincinnati says, done. And they bring him in, and they pay him. Would it piss you off that the premier edge rusher that's right there, right here, right now in the league, that's had 50-plus sacks in the last, 4 or 5 years, is right there, and you need an edge rusher, and you don't get that guy? Then again, you know what? The Colts are going to have a higher draft choice. If they give up 2 1s, those 2 1s are more valuable than the Packers' 2 1s, because the Packers are drafting at usually towards in the 20s, at least, when it comes to trade value in the draft. I don't know, but that would be. I never thought Cincinnati would trade him, to be perfectly honest with you. I thought they'd hang on to him at least for another year. So
if he goes for 2 1s, I don't think I don't want to pay 2 1s. I don't think he's worth that. Right? He's on the wrong side of 30. He needs a new contract. Yeah. He's going to go for something. If he goes for a first and a fifth, or if he goes for 2 seconds.
So say he goes for a first and a fifth. Would that bother you if the Packers didn't get him?
Borderline. Yeah. I don't think I would jump up and down in a fit of rage, but I'd be a lot more interested and I'd want to talk about it more. Like if he goes for 2 1s to the Colts, I'm like, okay, well, the Packers are never going to do that. And they shouldn't. Right. If he was 26, maybe a different conversation. You know what I mean? Right? Like if Crosby or Garrett went for that, but Hendrickson's great. He's just a little older and he needs a new deal. That matters.
Yeah. Because really, he's the only guy of ilk that's out there. I mean, everybody either wanted Max Crosby or Myles Garrett. He's the only other guy left, and he's actually had better numbers than those two. So, and he's out there. I'd be a little surprised if Cincinnati let him go. It wouldn't surprise me because Cincinnati doesn't want to pay him. And their stupidity would outweigh their sensibility. Because you just paid your offensive guys. You've solidified for the most part your offense. What you need now is a better offensive line, and you got to continue to build that and find a running back. But you just paid your offensive guy. Why are you then going to go out and tell your offense, well, go win games because the defense sucks? That's unfathomable to me, that you're in that division that is so incredibly tough anyway, and you're chasing Baltimore, and yet you're going to let one of the better defenders that you have go, the best defender you have go? Just nothing. No, it would be crazy stupidity. Let's do this. Let's talk some baseball when we come back. We'll get back into this because I think the football side of things, interesting discussion, but we got to talk some Brewers baseball. Got to talk Brewers baseball. We are a couple of days away. We are on the cusp of Brewers baseball. And you know what that means? Going to bring in our buddy and our guy, Chuck Freeman's going to join us from the Locked On Brewers podcast coming up next. Don't go anywhere. This portion of the program brought to you by J&L Tire Service Center. Kristen had a nail in the tire. Didn't know it, but her tire was leaking. It had a slow leak. Take it right out there. They got it right in. Said, sure enough, popped the nail out, fixed the tire, repaired it. And then they looked up and they're like, okay, wait a minute. You got the road hazard warranty. Brand new tire. How are we looking? So good stuff. So she got, instead of getting it patched, she ended up getting a brand new tire because she went there. They gave her the roadside warranty and all that kind of stuff and the road hazard warranty. So instead of getting the patch, she got a brand new tire. Good stuff from our friends at J&L Tire and Service Center. That's what they do for you. They're just damn good people. Thank you, they say, for voting them the best tire dealer out there again this year. They're on Boulder Road in Watertown, and right there, the one that we go to is in Johnson Creek. It's just above 94th, the Johnson Creek exit. You can see it from the highway. That is J&L Tire and Service Center. I've always talked about their service. I've talked about their honesty. I've talked about their commitment to the community. There is no reason to go anywhere else. JNLTire.com, JNLTire.com. Chucker up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Are you ready to shake things up at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee? All you gotta do is toss your rewards card into your favorite slots for drawing entries and a chance to be in the Roll for Riches game show. What's on the table? Oh, just $300K in cash and prizes. Play this March, and Thursday nights, you could get on the winning streak that, frankly, you deserve. Let it ride and Roll for Riches. Only at Potawatomi. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I mean, yeah, it was a good experience. You know, I played well, a lot of confidence going into the season, and that's where I want to be. And, you know, I want to be helping the team win as much as possible this season. And so, you know, there's obviously a little bit of like, you know, I wish I was, you know, going to New York with them. But, you know, when my time comes, I'll be ready for it.
Welcome back in to the Bill Michaels Show. Glad you're with us, and that is Yoho. Yoho had an incredible spring, and yet he's not going to be coming north with the team. He's going to start the season off in the minors, but you would assume at some point he's going to find his way up with the big league team up to Milwaukee. Joining us now, our guy from the Locked On Brewers podcast. It is Chuck Freeman joining us. Chucker, how you doing, pal?
William, great to be with you, and looking forward to the opening day show next Monday night. We're down over Monday afternoon. We're at Stenny's. Looking forward to it as always.
Giddy. I'm excited about it. Brewers obviously opening up in New York, and the roster's set. Prognosticators are saying they could either win the division or end up third in the division, depending on which one you happen to look at. Anywhere from I've seen 82 to 93 wins. We don't know. And I think you said it last week when we talked, like they could end up only winning 78 games. They could end up winning 95 games just because we're not really quite sure what this team has to offer. The one thing I do know, Chuck, they were the fourth highest scoring team in spring training this year. They not only can they hit and they hit for average, but they also stole a lot of bases and they moved runners along. And if the offense is at least comes out of the gate firing, it'll take a lot of pressure off of the staff that's a little bit nicked up right now to start the season, and at least that should make us feel good. Plus, it's an exciting brand of baseball.
Yeah, there's two things they do really, really well: run the bases, steal bases, and I would say the bullpen, their defense is great.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they can get those, now they just got to be able to score enough runs, but. They're gonna run the bases. They got guys on this team that can run and steal bases. We saw that last year, and that's what Murphy likes to do. Offensively, I saw the spring training numbers, but you look at some of the numbers last year. They put up some nice numbers, but I think it's kind of skewed a little bit because there'd be one game where they'd score like 9 or 10 runs, and then go like 4 games where they couldn't get out of their own way offensively. So we'll see. I worry about the power on this team. That's the thing. I think I don't know if they have enough power. They didn't ever replace Adames' 32 home runs. Rhys Hoskins is going to be their power guy. But you look around, third base, they don't have much power. Shortstop, Ortiz, we'll see there. Frelick in right field, there's not a lot of power there unless, he produces. He did put on some weight this offseason, good weight, but there's not a lot of offensive punch, I think, on this team.
So talk about the bench. Let's start there with what they have, backing up the catching position, Jake Bowers, first base, Capra, Collins. Talk about the bench. How confident are you in the depth that this team has?
Well, they got some good guys on the bench. Vinny Capra is a guy who is probably going to be platooning over at third base. It looks to be a platoon situation over at third base. Eric Haas behind the plate. Defensively, he couldn't throw anybody out on the base pass last year, but he sure can hit. I like him offensively. There's a lot to like about him. Yeah, it's okay bench. Not great. But if you look at the platoon spots, well, catcher, when Contreras is not catching, he's going to be DHing, and then Haas is going to get time behind the dish. And over at third, Oliver Dunn and right now Capra is going to be platooning over at third base. That's very interesting.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of I've never been a big fan of platoons, because when you say you're going to platoon over a position, that means you don't really have a strong guy over there. You got to try to get it done with multiple different ways, but their depth is okay, not great by any means, but we'll see how it works out. They got some injuries going into the season already, and it sounds like Terang is going to play on opening day Thursday in New York,
which is good. The fact that he's actually going to be there and the shoulder's not giving him enough problems to where he is not going to be able to be with the team for opening day, or they're going to have to rest him for any extended period of time. We know at some point, you're going to get Blake Perkins coming back off of that fractured shin. But it's really all about the pitching staff. I mean, it's going to be about the starters and how far can they go. And then the cavalry between Ashby and Gasser and Hall and Myers and Woodruff, when those guys are going to be able to start coming up, it's going to be like, I'm not going to say it's like getting a bunch of good free agents, but if you can get these guys to come back and they're ready to, start performing and they can pitch at any kind of a decent level, they go from being a team with a lot of question marks to a team that's got experience and could be relatively strong if everything, knock on wood, remains healthy.
Yeah, the front three starters, we know for sure. Peralta, Cortez, and Savali, those three will start in New York. Then after that, it's a mystery. Who's going to start 4 and 5? It doesn't sound like Quintana is going to be able to make that first turn around the rotation.
Right.
That he's not going to be up to speed, even though he's up to 3 innings already. He's going to pitch in a minor league game coming up on Thursday. So you're going to probably have to rely on 2 guys named Tyler Alexander and Elvin Rodriguez. That's the way I got it figured out so far. Maybe a couple of times through that rotation because of the injury to Tobias Myers. He's got the oblique injury. He did throw on the side the other day, last Friday, but he's going to start the season on the injured list. He was their most valuable pitcher last year. He's got no pain, but he's probably not going to pitch until late April.
Right.
Woodruff is the X factor, Bill. If you get Woodruff back, he pitched in a minor league game on Friday as well. He's going to throw a bullpen in New York. But right now at the back end of the rotation to start the season, you're a little thin.
The big question we get all the time is the star, the guy that's the face of the franchise, and that is Christian Yelich coming off of the back surgery. Can he be the same hitter who started, the All-Star game and led the National League in batting average and on base percentage before going down with a back injury, and that ended up requiring surgery because he was really playing some good baseball. All I hear is really good things from him. So, is he back, do we say?
Well, I don't know if he'll ever get back to the 2018, 2019 form, but last year when we last left him, he was batting, 313, 315 last year and going through some back pain, obviously, that required the surgery. My expectations for a guy coming off back surgery or any type of surgery, I always temper them a little bit because we don't know what he's going through as far as pain. But he seems to be running the bases well. It's just a matter of where is he going to play? Because in left field, you're going to ride with Churio. Center field, I like Garrett out there, Garrett Mitchell out there, along with Perkins when he returns, and then Frelick and Wright. So there's a rotation out there. I think Yelich could see some at-bats in the DH spot to start the season, and then we'll see how the rest goes.
I love the fact that Pat Murphy kind of indicated coming out of camp that he, kind of believes that people outside are starting to doubt them. Like, at what point can this team just finally just go away? Like, they're not supposed to be this good. They're not supposed to be at the top of the division. Like, the other teams are eventually supposed to overtake them. And he just said, we're going to be scrappy. We're going to show inexperience at times. But he feels like we're again going to show the rest of the world that this is the way you're supposed to play baseball.
Yeah, the Brewers seem to have this attitude that even though they lost a couple of key players, that they're going to be just fine. And what bodes well for them is the NL Central. Nobody really has stepped up in the division. I think the Cubs somewhat did, but not as much as some other teams have in baseball. They went out and got Kyle Tucker. That was a big move for them. The Reds got Gavin Lux in the offseason, made a managerial switch as well. But the Brewers feel like they're still the best team in this division internally in that front office. They feel like they're the best team in this division. Teams have over the years, I would think, underestimated the Brewers. And I think that a lot of that happened last year. I think the Brewers caught a lot of teams last year by surprise. They lost Corbin Burns in the trade, and they had a new manager, and their current manager went down to Chicago, that the Brewers were going to be a 75-win team. But they surprised a lot of teams. Now, I don't think they're going to win 93 again this year, Bill, but I don't think they're going to win 75 either.
Right. You referenced Willie Adames, who had 13 three-run homers last year, matching Ken Griffey Jr.'s Major League Baseball record in a season. And they have not been able to replace that. I think they're relying on the fact that, a guy like Rhys Hoskins is going to continue to hit, and a healthy Christian Yelich is going to continue to hit. Maybe you get a little more power out of a guy like Sal Frelick, who put weight on and muscle on in the offseason, Garrett Mitchell, even Jackson Churio. Maybe he gets hot to a certain extent. They're trying to look at maybe fortifying that collectively at this point, because they didn't add power and they didn't add that bopper down at third base. So I just don't know. That's a lot of three-run homers to get rid of. You know what I mean?
Oh, it is. And I think that's a concern. Like I said at the top, I just think power is going to be an issue on this team, and replacing 32 home runs, that's your club leader right there in home runs, and he didn't do anything. And you look at over at third base, well, essentially that's, that over at third base is how they're replacing Adames, because they're moving Ortiz over to short, and there's not a lot of pop over there. So that's a lot of home runs to fill. And remember too, a lot of things went right for the Brewers last year. They pulled off double steals, and everything just seemed to go right during the regular season. We'll see if the baseball gods are on their side once again as well. But that's, and of course they weren't going to go out, I was hoping, to sign or make a trade for a third baseman, and third baseman with that kind of power that they're looking for, a 30 home run guy, that's going to cost you $35 million a year.
Right.
So the Brewers definitely aren't in a market for doing something like that.
So tell me about Brian Hudson and how vital he is to this pitching staff. With everybody who we had already mentioned, Tobias Myers and Ashby and Hall and Mears and all these different guys that have gone down. How big is Brian Hudson to this pitching staff?
Oh, just huge. Look what he did last year. Yeah. He had an ERA of under 2. You could argue he could have been in the All-Star game. He's one of the best middle relievers in baseball last year. The holds, he won. I think he was 6-1 last year. Very, very important to this relief. And I think this relief is going to be really strong. This relief is so good on this team that Mizorowski, one of their top prospects, they didn't feel, well, he's got some control issues anyway, Mizorowski. They didn't feel that, he warranted making the roster just yet, because there's other guys they trust more than him, including a guy like Brian Hudson in middle relief.
Yeah. They used him a lot last year, and I know we only got a minute or two here, but he was stellar early on, and then he started to wear down a little bit because of the way that he was used. As he started, the ERA started to go up a little bit towards the end of July, but he had a hell of a season last year. And if they could limit maybe his use just a little bit and not let him eat up so many innings early on, I think he's going to be pivotal for this staff until you get your full complement of guys back.
Oh, sure. And another guy I think is going to have a breakout season is Abner Uribe. Uribe has, his goal is that he wants to be a closer one day in baseball. And last year was kind of a throwaway season. Last year, he got into that fight early in the season, and he had the knee surgery. I think Uribe, he's humming it at 100 miles an hour. That's another guy, Bill, I think we're going to be talking about this season, who maybe the Brewers have him as a future closer if McGill does not work out. But I think Uribe is due to have a bounce back year this year.
Between him and Mizorowski, both guys can heat it up in triple digits. The question is, does Uribe have something that's off speed enough with movement? Because that's what made Devin Williams so devastating. Eventually, once he took over the closer's role, was he had heat, but he had heat that had the ball just jumped all over the place. And then obviously that big air bender that he ended up coming up with. Does Uribe have something to where he says, look, if I can't blow you away at triple digits, I can at least toss you this. That's enough of an off-speed pitch that's going to throw you way off, and it's got movement all over the place.
And Murphy was talking about that in camp this year, Bill. He said that, major league hitters can hit that 104 mile an hour fastball. And not that Uribe throws 104, but they can hit that 104 mile an hour fastball. It's how you can keep these guys off balance is the key.
Yeah.
Again, anybody, these are major leaguers. These guys are studs. These guys can do a lot of things.
Right.
But what a guy like Uribe, and to a certain extent, Mizorowski, if he gets up here this year, they got to not only be able to find the plate, but they can't leave it over the plate.
Right. No doubt. Chuck, always good, pal. Where can they find you when they start to search for you?
Bill, Locked On Brewers, Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download audio podcasts, Locked On Brewers is there. It's the number one Brewers podcast on the internet. And, of course, our growing YouTube page. Go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and we're dropping daily episodes. Looking forward to Thursday, the opener. And as always, Bill, looking forward to talking to you throughout the season.
Can't wait till Monday, man. We're going to have a good time. The wings will be hot, and the Bloody Marys will be cold, and we'll be ready to go.
Yeah, let me know time you want me there. We'll take care of business.
We go on the air at 10. Anytime you want to walk through the door after that, I'm good with that. So whatever you want to do, it's a party. That we're just all we do is open the doors. Once you walk through it, you're in. There you go.
Oh, there we go. I mean, pack the place. We packed the place last year, Bill.
It was jammed.
Packed the place.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It'll be me, you, Grant, and whoever else happens to show up. I can't wait for it. Chuck, always a pleasure, pal.
Yeah. I'll be down. See ya.
Talk to you soon. Hey, a reminder coming up not only this season, but this summer, July 25th, 26th, and 27th, it is German Fest. Go to GermanFest.com for tickets and all the information. German Fest, Wisconsin's biggest house party, is back again this year. It's a Milwaukee tradition down there on the lakefront again, July 25th, 26th, 27th. Oompa your way through the summer with our friends at German Fest. Go to GermanFest.com. That is GermanFest.com.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket, this is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
That's fast. 2 hours down, 2 hours yet to go. But today's show is flying by. For a day that you don't have a ton of breaking news. You know, we don't have basketball games flying at us, baseball flying at us, or anything like that. Today's man, moving right along. Big time. Big time. Good stuff. Our buddy Chuck Freeman joining us for a couple of minutes talking some baseball. Reminder, speaking of that, like we had mentioned, don't forget next Monday we're going to be live at Stenny's, Second and National, Walker's Point. Looking forward to it. It is going to be our annual now. How many years have we been doing this? Let me think. 6 years in a row? I think 6 years in a row. We've been down at Stenny's now for opening day. So I think it's 6 years in a row. Could be 5. But nevertheless, this is great. We're going to be down there again coming up on Monday, and we're looking forward to it. To myself, Grant, Chuck, anybody else that happens to swing by, and hopefully you as well. Brewers fans, come on down and say hi, and get yourself some great beverages, get yourself some great food, hit the shuttles, you're good to go, head over to the ballpark, cheer on the Brewers to a win. Come on back down, let Stenny's do the drive-in, drop you right off at the front door, pick you back up, bring you back down, you're good to go. Good to go. Don't forget, more of the Bill Michaels Show. 2 hours down, 2 hours yet to go. We'll be back right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, no Damian Lillard, no Jericho Sims, and 31 points from Giannis Antetokounmpo was not enough as the Bucks would fall 108-106 out in Phoenix to the Suns. Brook Lopez added 23, had a chance to tie it at the buzzer, but was bumped and no call. Here's more from Lopez.
I mean, it was obviously weird. You know, it's tough because you see a lot of those continuations go a certain way. You know, go one way pretty much consistently all game, all season, and then in a big moment like that, it was absolutely odd. It was weird.
That was a tough loss for the Bucks, who are fighting for the number 3 through 6 playoff positions in the Eastern Conference with the Knicks, Pacers, and Pistons. The Bucks currently sit 5th in the Eastern Conference. They're back in action to complete their West Coast road trip tomorrow when they're in Denver to face the Nuggets. Turning to the Brewers, opening day will be on Thursday. They're out in New York to face the Yankees. Freddie Peralta will take the mound opposite of Carlos Rondon. First pitch Thursday at 2:10.
ABC of Wisconsin is the largest apprenticeship program in the state, with more than 2,000 active apprentices in 12 different skilled trades. In the ABC apprenticeship program, you earn while you learn on the job, get paid to go to class, and graduate with a job in your craft, but without the huge college debt. Explore 12 different construction trades in one spot at buildyourcareerwi.org, or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Wisconsin women's basketball has a new head coach. That would be Robin Pinkton, who spent the past 15 years as the head coach at Missouri. Pinkton had a 250 and 218 record at Missouri. Her team made 10 postseason tournaments, including 4 NCAA appearances. And finally, all is quiet in Green Bay. The Packers, they prepare for the NFL's draft that will begin Thursday, April 24th. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Welcome back. Hour number 3, The Michael Show. Thank you for hanging out with us. For all of you on the cheap seats on the live stream, love you. Glad you're with us. If you want to text us, you can. 608-321-1670. Hit up the text line, 608-321-1670. By the way, if you want to give us a buzz, you can, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You can find us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/Bill Michaels, Michaels, Bill Michaels Show. You can find us there, youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. You can find us over on Twitter, on X, at Bill_Michaels, at Wisco Grant, WISCO, Wisco Grant, on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, on the Twitch app, the Kick app, and the LinkedIn app under The Bill Michaels Show, THE, The Bill Michaels Show, or some kind of combination thereof. And you can email the program at thebillmichaels@gmail.com. The website, thebillmichaels.com. The app is WOZN, The Zone Madison. You can take us anywhere and everywhere. You can download us after the fact on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts. And you can even watch the show, yes, TV-wise, on Saturday nights, that kind of the compilation thereof, Wisconsin Sports Weekly with Bill Michaels. Grant Bill's alongside on My 24 TV in Milwaukee. So good stuff there as well. And yeah, baseball is coming to an end on ESPN after this season. That's it. Baseball and ESPN have parted ways. Rob Manfred kind of gave ESPN a shot on the way out the door, basically saying that, you know, the ratings of ESPN are declining. And I can see that. I don't know, you know, I mean, Monday Night Football is still Monday Night Football, but I can see where everything outside of the NFL has declined because they talk about basically 2 or 3 teams and 2 or 3 people, and that's about it on the continuum. Every now and then you'll get some good takes from some of the former players and some of the analysts, but for the most part, other than just maybe SportsCenter, I don't watch it anymore. I try not to because it's too infuriating. So they're always going to talk about the Lakers. They're always going to talk about Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. You know, Mike Greenberg's got his, you know, pants off half the time for Aaron Rodgers. And beyond that, they don't hit on much, anything else. So LeBron obviously is their god over there, but I can see it. And they don't do a lot of baseball. They just don't. They've basically cut back on their baseball coverage, and those that do baseball, which they've cut that way back. So, and oh, by the way, their Sunday night games, you can pretty much write the script right now. It's going to be the Dodgers, the Yankees, Red Sox, Cubs every now and then. But beyond that, they don't carry many other teams. So like, why would we be watching them anyway? So we'll see how that does after it's all said and done, and that's gone. But 877-867-1670. You want to chime in, feel free to go ahead and do so. I know that all the Brewers games, whether it's nationally televised or locally televised or over the air televised, are all going to be witnessed this year, which is good news. So, but we have not seen, what is it? It's FanDuel, right? Grant, FanDuel that's going to be doing the fortifier of baseball broadcasts.
Yeah, the FanDuel Sports Network is what became of the Bally Sports Network, which is what became of Fox Sports, whatever it was, you know.
Yeah, Fox Sports was based out of L.A., and then they had Fox Sports Regional. So it was Fox Sports Wisconsin and Fox Sports, you know, I know they had Fox Sports Ohio, they had Fox Sports Florida.
Fox Sports North,
Fox
I think
Sports
Minnesota.
North was another one, yeah. So, I mean, I know they had the regions of Fox Sports, what was it? Fox Midwest was like Kansas City and St. Louis and all of that there for a while. But I know they had like 25 3 markets, I think, is what Fox had at one point. And then Bally's bought them, thinking that they were going to put up all of the gambling stuff. And then that went south when Bally's ended up losing out to FanDuel and DraftKings and such. And so now we'll see how long it takes FanDuel before they, do something wrong and then overspend. And next thing you know, they're out the door too. But it's a shame that the Brewers don't have the capability. The media market here in the state of Wisconsin just doesn't support that to where they could have their own network and do it all themselves. But there's just not enough money here for that. So it just doesn't. But anyway, 877-867-1670. I want to go back. I got some emails and such regarding the Packer side of things. And when we were talking about the NFL draft, our buddy Steve says, good morning. We are drawing nearer to that glorious 3-day event called the NFL draft. Are you planning on having our lads guys on anytime soon? We don't have Dan Shonka anymore because I don't think Dan's doing broadcasts anymore, but we could certainly get in the our lads guides. And those should be arriving almost any day, to be perfectly honest with you. I think they get here usually maybe like next week. I think they start showing up. Do you have any plans on breaking down the draft position by position for the Packers? I think it'd be fun to do a segment or two on the positions of need for the Green Bay Packers and the possibility for the prospects that they may look at. My apologies, but I am the draft nerd. That's our buddy Steve in Richfield. Steve, to answer your question, yeah. It's, every day we can get into that stuff. Every day. Now, I don't have the guides sitting here in front of me, but I would be great. Certainly, we can start asking our guys from our lads to join us on the program. Who did we have on from our lads last year? Grant, do you remember off the top of your head?
I do not.
I can't remember who we ended up having. So, but I knew we had some our lads guys on. But that's a good take. So yeah, I would look at that. I can't remember who we had. If you remember off the top of your head, let me know because I can't remember. I don't want to sit here and start searching it right now. But Dan Shonka had some health issues a couple of years ago, and that was kind of it for Dan. Dan had been doing it a long time. Dan is one of the founders of Our Lads, and I still use Our Lads as the draft Bible. And like I said, it should be coming relatively soon, which is every analytic and every stat for every particular player. But I get it online now too. So we'll see if we can't, I still look, we could sit there right now and start, talking about some of the players that are going to be there for the Green Bay Packers first round. And I am excited. We just, by the way, yesterday we did apply for our credentials for the NFL draft. We're still waiting to find out the details as to where everything is going to be and if it's going to be conducive to an actual broadcast. There is a Radio Row for the draft, but I don't know if that's going to be something that's going to be conducive to do the first round broadcast like we do, like you've come accustomed to. So I am thrilled that Green Bay is hosting the draft. But if it's not conducive to the broadcast, I think I'm getting more and more enticed by maybe doing the show at Burkle's and doing a meet and greet up there like during the week on the Wednesday before the draft and going up, taking the RV, going up, setting up inside Burkle's, maybe giving a few things away, something like that. So that's something that's being looked at. Put it that way. That's being looked at. So we're excited for that. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, go ahead and do it. This is from Max. Max says, the Ravel kid out of East Carolina you were talking about earlier, he's intriguing. Do you think that he would be somebody that would fall to the Green Bay Packers or they should even take? See, I talked about him only for the fact that he's got first-round talent before he tore the ACL. Remember, he only played a few games last year. He was already considered one of the best corners in college football. And had he not torn the ACL and had a successful season and such, he only played in 3 games. He already had a couple of picks, but he ended up tearing the ACL. And it's usually the year, not the year you come back from the ACL, but it's the year after you come back from the year of the ACL that you really regain your form. I just don't know. I don't know if and again, he's a kid that had he continued to play at that particular level, he's probably top 10. You know what I mean? So as a general manager, you look at it and go, are we getting a top 10 talent lower in the draft that really does fortify our secondary? But if he's coming back from the ACL, chances are he's not going to be that guy until the year after. So you got Nate Hobbs, you got Keyshawn Nixon, you got the guys you brought in last year that are kind of, Bullard and Anderson and all those guys that are kind of interchangeable, that kind of showed a lot of promise via the linebackers and secondaries and safeties and such. Do you add this guy into the mix under the hope of, maybe he can get his feet wet this year and then really become that top 10 player next year? Or do you go with, say, a bona fide guy? Say at the wide receiver position, or maybe an edge rusher falls to you. What do you do? Because you do, where would your trust be? Where would your value be? And again, that's what general managers look at. This guy's got a value of this. Had he stayed healthy, his value would have been this. So we're going to get the guy that's coming back from the injury whose value was this, and we're going to get him for this. So the value play, it's kind of like they overthink it, And in the meantime, you're thinking you've got 2 or 3 wide receivers there in the first round that could really be impact players. So what do? As much as I like them, and I would think, much like Goody, you're looking at what the value would have been for this guy had he stayed healthy and continued to perform the way he was. His value would have risen. So you're looking for that value. But I want the guy that's ready to go right now. You know what I mean? I want that guy that's like my impact guy right now. Right now. So I'm looking for, Hampton out of North Carolina, the edge rusher, or Stewart, the edge rusher out of Texas A&M, that, or the wide receiver, Matthew Golden out of Texas, or Agbuka out of Ohio State. Those guys are going to help me right now. They're ready to go, man. I want that guy. As much as I love the project and the value, but I want that guy right now. But I can see them taking him because he would have had a much, he's physical in run support. He likes to hit. They talk about his change of direction and everything, but I don't know what that change of direction is going to be. I know that's like an athletic term, but I don't know what that's going to be coming off of an ACL. And here's the other thing. If he falls, he may keep falling. And if you really want him, and that's a guy that you're looking at going, man, I want this wide receiver, or I want this edge rusher. But if this guy falls, I can jump up and get him in the second round. I could still maybe have an opportunity to grab him. That's just me. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, please feel free. Go ahead and do so. What I want this year, specifically in the first round, is a guy that's ready. He's an impact player, and he goes. I don't want a guy that's beat up. I don't want a guy that's coming back off of an injury. I don't want a guy that's going to be a project. I don't want a guy that, he could have had this grade or didn't have this. I want a guy that is ready to go. Ready to go. Whether it's
best we can do is
whatever. Yeah, go ahead.
Best we can do is a backup from Iowa. That's what we're going to get. like Pawn Stars. Yeah. Best I can do is $200. Best I can do is a corner off an ACL or a backup from Iowa. You can take your pick in the first.
Exactly. I just, right. That's what I want. That's what I kind of cherish.
I would love to see that as well. And I think the misnomer among Packers fans is that, well, you know, the draft is for the future. So you look for players who you think can be great. Yeah, but sometimes players are good right away. Right. And then they're also good in the future. Like Jared Verse was amazing for the Rams this year. A little bit of a unicorn pick. It's not so easy to just pick that guy. But I don't like the idea that some Packers fans have that if a guy's good right away, he also can't get better and continue to be good. It's not one or the other.
Right. 100%. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at the Water Doctors, the best water softening system on the market, hands down. I've had it in my house for over 20 years. I had others, so don't think that I don't know what others are like. I had others, but the Kinetico system came into my house, and I have never, ever, ever looked back. And everybody that I've steered towards it when they were thinking about changing has said, you're correct, 100%. And the advancements over time have been spectacular. I drink probably 90 ounces of water a day right out of my reverse osmosis. I don't buy a bottle. The bottled water goes to Kristen, not me. I love it right out of the reverse osmosis. So whether it's yourself or your kids or your pets, Connecticut water softening, that's the way to go. That's our friends at the Water Doctors. H2, the letter O, H2ODoctors.com. You can read all about it, or just call 262-549-7733 anywhere in the state of Wisconsin. 262-549-7733. And John and Amber Atlee, big part of the gala the other night. They spent some money. They raised some funds. They helped out. They were part of the committee. Just fantastic people in support of military members, veterans, their families, and first responders. We had a great time with them on Saturday night. That is the Water Doctors. Work with somebody who actually put their money where their mouth is in the community. 262-549-7733. That's 262-549-7733.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Being a Pella consultant means helping people build their dreams.
For Jenna, helping others find joy is so rewarding. It's why we love to do what we do.
I enjoy simplifying the process for the customer, taking the time to listen, and finding the right solution.
Randy understands that everyone's situation is different, so we don't just slap together cookie cutter solutions.
Customers really appreciate just how prepared we are. All the samples, the videos, pictures.
Jake arrives at your free in-home consultation with pre-prepared materials to fully envision your dream Pella build.
We're with you from start to finish. You literally have a friend from beginning to end and beyond with your project.
Whether you're working with Ryan or another Pella consultant, we don't go away after the sale. We're ready with anything you may need before, during, and after installation. And right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get 0% interest up to 72 months. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. And free through 2025.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Big shout out to our friends Joe and Ellen Hennis. Out there at Smoke on the Water and Sloppy Joe's Saloon and Spoon. They came to the gala on Saturday night and brought some friends, and man, what a great time! It's just so good to see a lot of the people that support us in other ventures as well. And they have obviously two great places. One is just an authentic Wisconsin bar. That's Sloppy Joe's Saloon and Spoon, without a doubt. And then there's Smoke on the Water out on Okauchee Lake. And I can't wait for summertime and the garage doors are open and the deck is open, and maybe throw the boat out there on the lake and pull it up at the docks just below the windows and stop in and grab yourself a beverage and head back out. I'm looking so forward to it this year. Smoke on the Water on Okauchee Lake out there on Wisconsin Avenue in Okauchee, Wisconsin. And then Sloppy Joe's Saloon and Spoon on Hubertus, in Hubertus, right there, just east of Holy Hill. Both places fantastic, but more so than anything, the owners are spectacular, and love both of them. They're just so good to us, and we can't say thanks enough. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to give us a shout, please feel free. Go ahead and do so. 877-867-1670. Our lads guy, was it Phil Hepler? Our buddy Steve, who is a big Our Lads person, he said, was it Phil Hepler? I think it was, now that you say that. I think it was, now that you say that. Man, I think it was Phil Hepler. So we'll try to get Phil back on, because Our Lads people are simply fantastic. We'll do all that kind of stuff. I promise you. We'll get deep into it. Grant is going to be off the end of next week. And then by the time he gets back, we are going to be, just completely, ankles deep in draft stuff. So it'll be good. Be fun. Now you're leaving. Are you, when you leave next, you leave next Thursday?
Yes. And the situation is our flight leaves around 4. So we'll go down to O'Hare. We'll just park a car. But what I realize is, so it's a 6-hour time change. So we get on the flight at like 5 or something, and we land like first thing in the morning, and we just start our day. Okay. So I cannot sleep on airplanes, which I'm not ashamed of, because who could sleep on it? There's a jet engine, there's people, I'm in a chair, but I got to figure out how to sleep on an airplane, because otherwise I'm just going to have no sleep, and it's going to be 6 o'clock in Iceland, and it's go. So I got to figure that out.
So you're gone for a week, right?
We get back on Wednesday night, and then Thursday I have to be in La Crosse for that Packers event, the Hunger Task Force thing, and then I'll be back on the air on Friday, but I'll be remote because I'll be doing my show in La Crosse.
So you're basically gone. You leave next Thursday, and then are you on the air with us on Thursday, or are you not? Mm-mm. Okay, I didn't think so. So you're gone Thursday, Friday, and then the following week completely.
Yeah. Okay, for the purposes of this show, my show will be back on at the very tail end of the week, but for the purposes of this show, yeah.
So who is it? Me and Kate?
Kate. Yep. Kate's doing a couple shows. Jacob's going to do 1 or 2.
Gotcha.
I was talking to her earlier, and I told her, it's like, I'll leave you a list. This is a little bit of a longer absence. So no, she's good. She likes doing the show. Kate enjoys it.
Kate's doing a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
By the way.
Yeah. Kate's going to be all of our boss pretty soon.
Yeah. Kate is, I see Kate doing videos now and all kinds of different stuff.
She did not like when Ebo played that video on the air this morning. She did not like that.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I don't know if it was self-consciousness or what. She's like, I don't mind my voice on the radio, but I don't like seeing videos or hearing that of myself.
Right. Okay.
Which I guess I get. I'm so numb to that. I've been in so many videos and on the air so many times. I just don't even notice it.
Right. Okay.
Or maybe I'm vain, or maybe both. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. She, I know that she was here. I didn't even know that the Zone was promoting anything in the Deer District. I thought she was just here for a country concert, but she was in the Deer District over at, what was it, the Mecca?
Yeah, I think they were down there. They were just giving away stuff.
But I don't know. I'm like, when did they get in there? I didn't even realize that. She was down at the Mecca giving away stuff, and now she's promoting the bus trip. For those that don't know, the Zone, our flagship station out of Madison, is promoting a bus trip. And there's only 20-something seats, but I think most of it's sold out at this point. But you still have an opportunity, if you want to get in on it, to come and join them from Madison, to take the bus from Madison down to American Family Field on Monday and be a part of Brewers opening day against the Royals next Monday. Now, I have told them, hey, if you bring the bus down of the 20-something people, I'll buy everybody a beer. Stop by Stenny's and come in and party with us. for a little while and then have the bus take you down to American Family Field. But I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. I don't know if that's a deviation for them. But if they want to do it, I'll buy everybody on that bus a beer if they come in. Yeah. Ebo thought it was a good idea, but Ebo's not driving the bus.
Well, that's the thing. Ebo's the one not driving the bus or organizing it.
I can see Ebo taking over, though, going, hey, Bill's got free beer, man. And the bus driver's like, well, we're scheduled to go here. And he's like, with a finger in his pocket going, stick them up. I'm taking over the bus. We're going down for a free beer. I can see that happening. That would be Ebo's way.
100%.
100%. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Let's get to it. Our guy, Gerard. Gerard, what's happening, man? How you doing?
Hey, Bill.
Yep.
Speaking of pictures, I think Grant posted a picture one time where he had these round sunglasses on. He had longer hair, and he had a tie-dye Brewers shirt and bell-bottom jeans on there. And I saw this photo of him, and the first thing I thought of was the guys who used to fly the single-prop planes from Medellin to Panama and, moving to white coffee. So it was really funny.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, on the Packers, Bill, now I'm looking, now they got to fill really three positions if you're looking at it that way. Now, I would move the first four draft choices to move up to get two good players. That's what I would do. Now, if Golden or Ibuka isn't taken by the 18th pick, I would think they would want to move up and grab one of those guys, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
If they're not, because then most of the other guys, the pass rushers, would be gone if those guys are falling that far down. So that's my theory. And you talk about our lad guides. I have those things going back to when John Elway in a Stanford uniform is on the cover of one.
Mm-hmm.
But and that's quite a while ago.
Right.
But I was thinking, Bill, what do you think of that? And what do you think? Goody has a 3-year window, and I wanted to ask you about that. But what do you think about moving 4 to get 2 good players instead of hoping that these other picks work out? What's your opinion on that?
Anytime you can get a proven player, I would go for it. That's just my opinion. Now, whether or not they go in that direction, we would have to wait and see. But anytime you can get a proven player over a draft. Now, I get the whole argument of the salary side of things, where if you can get a good guy, a really good player to be that guy on a rookie contract for 4 or 5 years, that's fantastic. I understand all of that because that's really the way you do need to grow your team. But when you need to fill holes and you believe that your team is now, or the window is the next 2 to 3 years tops, I would think that you have got to go after the qualified guy. You got to fill a couple of holes with the qualified people, which is what he's done. I mean, he filled in Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney, and so,
right. But
I'd go for it.
But I'm basically talking about in the draft.
Yeah.
Would I trade, let's say, the 3 and the 4 and to move up in the second?
Yes.
Or, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
To do that, to move up in the second to get a player that is going to definitely be a 1 or a 2 right away.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, if these guys, like for instance, a lot of, I think Kuiper has them picking Ibuka. I think Kuiper has them picking him, the wide receiver from Ohio State, if I'm pronouncing that right. But there's guys like, I think of Pierce, a pass rusher, Grant, and that Burden, the wide receiver. I think they have those basically falling towards the Packers. They will be there, Yeah. So it depends on who you want to pick. But if you're going to pick another opinion I have is this team lacks real speed. Okay, it really. I know they picked up Hartman. He's going to add some speed and all bit and everything, but they really do. Except for a few players, they don't have that real team speed. And I think a Golden or somebody like that would add to that. But if you pick a wide receiver, Bill, then you're going to have 6 wide receivers by when? December? when Watson comes back.
Well,
so,
but
I
look at it this way, though, don't you? Where somebody's going to go down, you know that. You almost have that built in. You know you're going to lose a receiver. So by the time Watson's coming back, it's almost like getting a free agent at the end of the season because you know you're going to be a little bit depleted.
You're going to have to lose two guys if you pick another, because you added Hartman, you're going to add another receiver in the draft early. If you add another receiver in the draft, you're going to lose two of the guys at the end, which I don't know whether that matters or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. But so you can't have 8 receivers. So you're going to have to get rid of 2. That's the way you're going to have to look at it. But that's my philosophy, Bill. I would use those draft choices to move up in the draft, and that's what I would do. And I hope they think about that, because if your need is 3 positions, like a corner, a pass rusher, and a receiver, if you could get 2 of those 3 by moving up, that way, instead of hoping, you get a guy at 4 or 3 that's going to be that type of guy. So I would hope they would think that way.
Me too. I agree.
And I'm glad you're stuck with Doc Rivers. I'm a Celtic fan from the fact that you know that. Yeah. And I'm glad you're stuck with. Let me tell you this. I was talking to Grant, and I was saying this. He was protected by the Boston media for years. I never liked him as far as a head coach, but he was protected by them because, and I hate to get this, because their politics are very similar in Boston to what he is about, and he was protected. And my theory is that's how he stuck around so long. And how dare they put the top 15 coaches of all time, and he's in the top 15 when Tommy Heinsohn isn't even there, and some other great coaches that weren't there. I mean, it's a travesty. Like I said, I'm glad you guys are stuck with him. Because I just wanted him out of Boston in the worst way. I couldn't take him anymore. Yeah. I mean, really, he's really annoying with his let's say BS Phil.
Yep. Well, I look at the article that he just did. It's like he's sensitive to the fact that people are giving him grief because he was up 3-1 in the series and ended up losing the series. And he's like, well, give me credit for the 3 games I won. But you didn't win 4. You didn't win the series, and you ended up getting beat, and your team looked bad doing it. It's like, why would you even go there?
And that fan who compared him to what McCarthy said was really true. That was really good.
Really dead on, yeah. Really dead. I'm 100%.
It was really
agree.
Right on. It really is.
No doubt.
He's sanctimonious. He's sanctimonious in the worst ways. I tell you, he really is.
Yep.
So when he went to Milwaukee, I said, "Oh, that's good for the Celtics."
I wasn't, like I said, I've said all along, I wasn't a big fan of that choice. I thought there was a couple other ones that are out there, and I appreciate the phone calls always, Gerard, that they would go in a different direction. But he seemed to solidify things for a while, but I just don't see this team getting dramatically better. And we'll talk probably with Jim Ozarski coming up later in the week about it, because Jim is traveling today. But it's whether it's the players or him, I couldn't put my finger on it. Maybe it's a little of both, but it's just for what's been going on, it's a little bit disappointing, to say the very least. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. By the way, Wisco Grebe says NBC Sports in Boston, they're the biggest green teamers and fanboys for the Celtics there ever were. So, and that's actually solidifying what our buddy Gerard just had to say about him. I had mentioned it, and I'm going to do it. I am stopping down there either today or tomorrow, faux show, and that is down at Robert's Specialty Meats. Reminder, if you're going to be doing the tailgate thing, and I know the weather's going to be kind of crappy on Monday, but if you're going to do the tailgate thing at all, don't forget about Robert's Specialty Meats in Waukesha. Cheryl in Platteville came to town this past weekend and actually bought the Al Capone roast and said it was worth, and everything I've been saying about it, she said 100% true. She texts us all the time over on the text line and said 100% true. Robert's Specialty Meats, Waukesha.com. If you're coming into town from anywhere in the state of Wisconsin, it's a quick drive down Sunset Drive in Waukesha. Stop in. It's not a huge place. It's just your small hometown butcher shop. They make custom-made sausages, custom-made burgers, the ribs on a stick, the garlic parm skewers. You don't have to get anything for your tailgate. Just bring the grill, bring the charcoal, bring whatever it is, other stuff you need. You can get potato salads and pasta salads and cheese spreads and all that kind of stuff down there. Then you get the ribs on a stick, the garlic parm skewer, whatever it happens to be for your favorite tailgate. They even have buns and stuff there. You can pick up bread. And whatever you don't need, right across the street is like a Pick and Save and a Piggly Wiggly and all that kind of stuff. Get it. It's right there. Stop at Sunset Drive in Waukesha. That's Robert Specialty Meats Waukesha.com. That's Robert Specialty Meats Waukesha.com.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Being a Pella consultant means helping people build their dreams.
For Jenna, helping others find joy is so rewarding. It's why we love to do what we do.
I enjoy simplifying the process for the customer, taking the time to listen, and finding the right solution.
Randy understands that everyone's situation is different, so we don't just slap together cookie cutter solutions.
Customers really appreciate just how prepared we are. All the samples, the videos, pictures.
Jake arrives at your free in-home consultation with pre-prepared materials to fully envision your dream Pella build.
We're with you from start to finish. You literally have a friend from beginning to end and beyond with your project.
Whether you're working with Ryan or another Pella consultant, we don't go away after the sale. We're ready with anything you may need before, during, and after installation. And right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get 0% interest up to 72 months. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply in 3/31/2025.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome in. So glad that you're part of the program. Always so glad you're part of the program. Hey, don't forget, opening day, if you're not going to be going to the game, maybe even on Thursday, where you got college hoops going on, you got Brewers baseball going on, DJ's Goalpost on Appleton Avenue in Menominee Falls. Tremendous place to go. It's like watching inside a sports memorabilia museum, for gosh sakes. It's just an amazing, amazing place. TVs everywhere, games on everywhere. Food's good, and the service is good. But it's just a really cool, I mean, it's, the epitome of a sports bar, to say the very least. And it's community-minded. Don out there is just a fantastic guy. He's always giving cool stuff away. Check out our friends at DJ's Goalpost. DJ's Goalpost right there on Appleton Avenue, Menominee Falls. You can't miss it. You can't not go there if you're in the area and you want to watch a game. I mean, that's like, it's just as good as going to the stadium. It really is, because there's so many fans there checking it out. They had big crowds over the weekend for the Badgers and Marquette, for that matter. So stop in at DJ's Goalpost and tell Don and the gang that we said hi. Nicholas says, I'm going to give Goody 2 more drafts. And if substantial impact additions aren't made successful, I'd say it's time to go. I said this a couple of weeks ago. I don't think anybody's coming into this season on the hot seat. I don't think anybody is. And I don't think anybody's looking for any kind of a demise. We're not thinking in that direction, to be honest with you. But for those that do, I don't think the leash is 2 more years, unless you're talking including this year. I think it's a place that the Packers feel that they're ready to go. I just feel like everybody in that building thinks it's time. And that's the reason he was very specific in making the statement of it's time to get serious about championships, about Super Bowls. The first 2 drafts weren't good, admittedly. And wrapping his arms around the organization and kind of getting everything together. And, the first couple were lackluster, but he's between some of the pieces he sprinkled in and some of the pieces he's picked up in free agency, the team is good. That's why I keep looking at this offseason as being pivotal. And I know that sounds ludicrous, but it is. Because you're teetering right now. I mean, think about it. As good as we may believe they are, okay? And I think they're a talented team. As good as we believe they are. And as Packers fans, we have hope, and it's time to climb back on top of the division and this and that. They can't beat the Lions. The Vikings, in many different areas, have passed them. The Bears are charging hard, or at least attempting to. And I keep going back to one Carl Brooks finger away from not getting a win in the division and from not making it to the postseason. Now they did a lot of good things, and there was a lot of positive. You could look at different scenarios and say, you know what? Had this happened or that happened, they'd have a couple more wins. And it's true. That's what good teams do. But it's a very fine line between average, good, and bad in the NFL. And they are teetering right now. What side of that fence are they going to fall on? And if there isn't enough fortification for this team to start to overcome the elite teams, the cry of "In Goody we trust" is going to significantly change. And it's not from me. It's not from, the analysts, so to speak. It's going to be from Packers fans. And you've got an incoming president who, my assumption is Mark Murphy and Ed Policy sat down and said, "Ed, you're the new guy. Here's what I'm giving you. The business side of things is this. It's great. We've expanded. The draft is here. There's millions coming into the community. We are a wanted commodity. Stock sales didn't sell out, but still ended up raising a ton of money for us. So I don't think we can go back to that well anytime soon. The sustainability of the product on the field is what's going to propel us in the future for marketing and sales and sponsorships and all that kind of stuff." So Ed's like, all I got to do is come in and watch it go, right? I don't have to. There's no reason to come in and start upsetting the apple cart. But if this team slides this year and they don't get a win in the division and the Bears pass them by and they still can't beat the Lions and J.J. McCarthy is all of that in a bag of chips under Kevin O'Connell, and that team then with the offseason additions they've already made passes them by, it is going to be a really hot seat. And whether it's Goody or LaFleur or both, whatever, it's unallowable. In the NFC North, you went from being the king, and then in 3 years you're at the bottom. If that happens, no. And I don't want to hear the thing, well, their schedule, everybody in the NFC North is playing pretty much the same schedule, give or take. They always say, first of all, win your division. Win your divisional games. Protect home field. Get to the postseason. Get a home game. And then everything else trickles down from there. But if they don't teeter in the right way, then yeah, that seat could become relatively hot. But going into the season, it's not hot. But I think everybody inside the walls of 1265 know it. I'm not saying they're feeling pressure any more or any less, but I think that the perception becomes reality of the sense of urgency. And if I'm sitting here as a Packers fan, do I feel that the Packers feel a sense of urgency by the moves that they have made? No. So maybe they really do believe that inside the walls of 1265, they have grown exponentially to where this team is ready to really, the cream is going to rise to the top and everything's going to happen at the same time. And everything's going to start to really kind of matriculate for this team to climb back on top of the division and get themselves a home field advantage game for the postseason. You hope. But if it doesn't, God forbid they find themselves, let's say 3 teams out of the NFC North do make it to the postseason this year, and the Packers aren't one of them. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Will you just be there to direct traffic as you start to see the Packers fans with the pitchforks and the fire and everything start to converge up and down Lombardi and Oneida, and they start coming up towards 1265, and the flames and the brightness is starting to get a little bit more livid? Oh, can only imagine what it's going to be. So, I like I said, I know they have a plan. I know there's talent to be had. I know this team with the advancement of the quarterback. I know this team with getting another wide receiver, getting a pass rusher, the solidification of the offensive line, some more depth in the defensive backfield, barring mass injury. Mass injury throws everything out the window because you can't prevent injury. It just happens. It's football. It's a physical game. Okay, we saw it happen to Detroit was a team until they weren't because of injury. But all of this needs to happen for this team to climb back up on top of the division. Win the division. Win the division, protect home field. That's the mantra coming into this season, and probably in reverse order. And then you watch things begin to ascend. But if that doesn't happen, man, oh man, oh man, man, oh man, oh man, it will be a very, and I don't want to look ahead, but it would be a very butt puckering off season coming up next year, to say the very least. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Sobelman's, Milwaukee's established 25 years plus on St. Paul Avenue in Milwaukee. As a matter of fact, I just saw Dave Sobelman posting some lunches today that they were serving down there. And he was out doing some catering and some stuff for first responders, which he always does. That's Dave Sobelman and the group down there at Sobelman's Pub and Grill on St. Paul Avenue in Milwaukee. Don't forget, they've got the second location. Different owners, same great name, same great place, though, in Waukesha on William Street, right across the street from La Estacion. At Sobelman's, when you go there, you meet, you get great food, you get great Bloody Marys, you get the entire meal in a Bloody Mary for that matter. That's Sobelman's. Let's catch up.
Meet at Sobelman's,
Milwaukee and Waukesha. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Are you ready to shake things up at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee? All you gotta do is toss your rewards card into your favorite slots for drawing entries and a chance to be in the Roll for Riches game show. What's on the table? Oh, just $300K in cash and prizes. Play this March, and Thursday nights, you could get on the winning streak that, frankly, you deserve. Let it ride and Roll for Riches. Only at Potawatomi. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
We are almost sold out. Almost sold out. A couple of spots left. The third annual Bill Michaels Open Saturday, May 10th in Baroka Hills Golf Course, the third annual. And we are almost sold out, I'm told. So if you haven't got a hold of Ryan yet, you better do it. Like I said, I think this week, by the end of this week, we'll be sold out. Call him 608-637-7615, whether you're a single, a double, or you're a foursome, whatever it happens to be. Get a hold of Ryan because we're going to sell out. By the end of the week, it'll pretty much be done. The third annual Bill Michaels Open taking place again Saturday, May 10th. You get the round of golf, terrific fun tournament, obviously on a great course, top 50 nominated by NBC Golf. And then afterwards, Kickapoo Corners, they supply the food, and the food is amazing. Those meatball subs, and we make our own. It's kind of a buffet style. We make our own, and they're fantastic. And we had such a great time over the last couple of years doing this, and this is our third one, and every year it gets better. Every year it sells out quicker. The first year, it took us about a month and a half. So far, it's been on sale for about 3 weeks, and it's damn near gone. So if you have not gotten your spots yet for this year's third annual Bill Michaels Open, you better get them in, I would say today or tomorrow, and then this thing's probably going to be done. So get a hold of them. Call Ryan, 608-637-7615. The golf course, Baroka Hills Golf Course, a hidden gem in the state of Wisconsin. It really, truly is. Really a nice golf course. Get a hold of them. Get yourself, a couple of friends. Head on over, and we're going to have a great time. We got people coming from Green Bay. We got people coming from Wausau. We got some people coming from Madison that are all going to play in this thing. So it's not only just the area anymore that's to the western portion of the state of Wisconsin, but it's people from all over that want to come out and just have some fun and get some food and enjoy maybe a couple of nights roaming the town, the small town that is Baroka, but the very charming, well-run town of Baroka. Love it out there. Looking forward to it. So good stuff. We got 3 hours down. We got another hour yet to go. Don't go anywhere. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, no Damian Lillard, no Jericho Sims, and 31 points from Giannis Antetokounmpo was not enough as the Bucks would fall 108-106 out in Phoenix to the Suns. Brook Lopez added 23, had a chance to tie it at the buzzer, but was bumped and no call. Here's more from Lopez.
I mean, it was obviously weird. It's tough because you see a lot of those continuations go a certain way. Go one way pretty much consistently all game, all season. And then in a big moment like that, it was absolutely odd. It was weird.
Now it was a tough loss for the Bucks, who are fighting for the number 3 through 6 playoff positions in the Eastern Conference with the Knicks, Pacers, and Pistons. The Bucks currently sit 5th in the Eastern Conference. They're back in action to complete their West Coast road trip tomorrow when they're in Denver to face the Nuggets. Turning to the Brewers, opening day will be on Thursday. They're out in New York to face the Yankees. Freddie Peralta will take the mound opposite of Carlos Rondon. First pitch Thursday at 2:10.
For nearly 40 years, ABC Wisconsin Apprenticeship has been helping men and women transform themselves into highly skilled trade professionals. These skills are in demand and provide strong wages and benefits for a bright future. If you're a hands-on person who likes the feeling when you get projects done, apprenticeship could be for you. Go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Wisconsin women's basketball has a new head coach. That would be Robin Pinkton, who spent the past 15 years as the head coach at Missouri. Pinkton had a 250 and 218 record at Missouri. Her team made 10 postseason tournaments, including 4 NCAA appearances. And finally, all is quiet in Green Bay. The Packers, they prepare for the NFL's draft that will begin Thursday, April 24th. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Welcome in. The Bill Michaels Show. Glad you're with us in this final hour of the program. We certainly appreciate you kind of being here and hanging out with us and all that kind of good stuff. Thanks as always. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free. Give us a shout. We would love to hear from you. You can also track us down via text message, 608-321-1670. 608-321-1670. Watch us each and every day. Full shows. Go back and watch them over again. Go to youtube.com. That is youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. You can find us on Twitter, on X, at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. You can find Grant at Wisco Grant, at Wisco Grant. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on TikTok as well. We certainly appreciate all those different platforms. The Bill Michaels Show, or a semblance thereof. You can also track us down on Twitch, on Kick, on LinkedIn. Email the program, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. The website, thebillmichaels.com. And then there is the app, WOZN, the Zone Madison, where you can take us anywhere and everywhere and put us on your mobile device or in your car or what have you. Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts after the fact. And then on My 24 in Milwaukee during the on Saturdays, kind of a combination of the week show called Wisconsin Sports Weekly with Bill Michaels. And you can find us over there on My 24, 8 o'clock Central Time, right there on My 24 in Milwaukee. So thanks to everybody for participating there. If the Packers don't show significant improvement next year, assuming no major injuries, then we are wasting our time with this regime. I would start sharpening the pitchfork right now. I think that LaFleur is a big problem. I hope he proves me wrong. But how do you tread water with him? I don't think he can get a team to the Super Bowl. Poor leadership with his late-to-react issues. Whether it's his coordinators, Haley may finally be a winner. Meaning Hafley, I believe is what you mean. Bad in-game management and sticking with bad game plans far too long, clock management on and on. Thought he was better than that after Rodgers left. Ended up not being the case. That is from Nick. Nick, appreciate the email. Or actually, I shouldn't say the email, but the comments over on the live stream. From Jalen. Jalen says, I still believe in Goody. We trust. I think Matt LaFleur is going to have better game plans. Speaking of the game plan, for Jordan Love this year, I think his hands were tied with the injuries. I think Jay Love was more injured than we were all led to believe last season. He should come back strong this year, and I look for Matt LaFleur to have a better season as head coach as well. So Rich says Matt LaFleur is competent. So some people coming to Matt LaFleur's defense. I thought Matt
LaFleur had a rough year last year. We talked about this.
We did.
But I thought he had a down year in lots of ways. Not unlike a player. Yep. You know what I mean? Like you can have better years, you can have worse years. I thought Matt LaFleur last year disappointed, and I think he's better than he showed. So I'll agree with that comment.
There were, and we talked about that there were some issues. There were some game management issues. There was just things that happened along the way, and you kind of went, "Oh, what's going on? What's going on?" And it wasn't. But then again, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know. You hear that everything's fine. You hear the quarterback's healthy. You hear that there aren't any problems. You hear that Josh Jacobs likes to run out of shotgun. You hear all of that, and then we get into the semantics of what is play action. Wasn't the best of scenarios, so to speak, for kind of the way the offense just didn't seem to find its rhythm. So I don't know. Stephen O'Clair, is he still there, Grant?
Yep, we can go to Steve.
Let's go to Steve. Steve, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Hey, Bill. Well, anxious for baseball to start. Hopefully the Brewers can get off to a great start this year. Hey, I've only caught parts of your show today, so I apologize if you've already talked about this. But I was curious what your thoughts were about the new hire that the Badgers just made to be their women's basketball coach. Because my first thought after looking at a few things about her, my first thought was, what in the world is McIntosh thinking?
I don't know a lot about her. To be honest with you,
here's what I found so far.
Okay.
She was at her name's Robin Pington.
Pington, yes.
She was at Missouri for 15 years, which that's a good long run for a coach anywhere nowadays.
She was a little bit above 500. That I know.
Yeah, her overall record just above 500. Her conference record overall there less than 400. The last 2 seasons, her total conference record the last 2 seasons 5-27. They've been to the postseason 10 times while she was there, but 6 of them were the NIT, and they haven't been to the NCAA tournament since before COVID. It's just, at first glance, this just looks like it's going to be the same old again for the Badgers.
I'd have to read up a little bit more about her, and I would really love to know. My question would be, why is she the best fit for Wisconsin?
Well, I was talking to my dad a little bit earlier about it, and he said he had heard a rumor that there were several candidates who said no to McIntosh right off the bat about even interviewing, because it is such a commonly held belief out there that Wisconsin is not fully committed to women's basketball, which is an absolute shame if that's the case, because we have so many excellent girls basketball players in Wisconsin and in the neighboring states that, we have the stuff in place to be able to build a team here. I think Alvarez never should have gotten rid of Lisa Stone when he did, because they were just finally starting to show a glimmer of potential, and she's really the last coach that they've had there where that was the case. Everyone since then is one dud after another. Like I said, my first thought, I don't understand what McIntosh is thinking with this hire.
Part of the sorrow in me is saying, because they have not been good, I haven't paid a lot of attention. We pay attention to the women's hockey team because the program and Mark Johnson have been so incredibly successful, and you see what that does for the state of Wisconsin to get behind the women's hockey team. So we know that women's sports can be successful. So we understand that, or maybe that's where the money goes as opposed to the women's basketball program. I don't specifically know, but if you got women's basketball good, you can only imagine what it would be like at the Kohl Center. There would be as many supporters there. I wouldn't say as many for the men, but but certainly it would be an interest. It would be continually drawing your interest. I would go back to when Terry Mitchell was pretty good with Marquette basketball. When Sandy Botham was pretty good with UWM basketball, when the women's programs had those little brief rises where we got into it. So I don't know. I don't know why they made this hire. And that's a great question. I guess we should probably pay a little more attention to it, to be perfectly honest with you. Don't know.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong, but this just looks like McIntosh is just maintaining the status quo with women's basketball. And I say, if that's the case, it's an absolute shame.
Well, maybe we need to get Chris on the program. Appreciate the phone call, man. Maybe we need to get Chris McIntosh on the program. Just kind of do a state of the state address. Maybe that's what we do.
Yeah, I saw Jim Polzine, who I've been watching for his column, because he tweeted when this happened. He said, former Missouri coach Robin Pington is the new Badgers women's coach. I'm stunned. Column coming. So I don't know if they had heard something else. It's not like she lit the world on fire at Missouri. She was just fired.
Right.
And I see some Badgers fans just claiming that she was probably cheap, which I have to believe was true, at least on some level. But I don't know. It feels like to me, if I was trying to, because this women's basketball team, and I know very little about this, but they haven't been any good. The NIT would be a great step for them, right? If this was the men's program, you have to go all the way down, strip it all the way down to the studs and say, okay, well, how can we start from a somewhat successful place? Wouldn't you want to start targeting the state of Wisconsin? Why don't you go who's the most successful women's WIAC coach? Wasn't the Oshkosh coach in demand at the end of this last year? I'd start with something like that.
He said she's got Midwest roots and coaching experience, and she and her family are going to fit right into the local community. Thrilled to welcome Robin, her husband, Rich, and their 2 sons to Wisconsin. She announced on February 26th that she was resigning after 15 years in Missouri, the ninth coach in program history. She's brought in to turn around a Badger program that has not delivered a winning season since the 2010-2011 season, but was never able to do so. Now it's her turn to look at a 14-year run of losing campaigns. I'm just trying to, I shouldn't be doing this on the fly, but I am. She's been playing obviously coaching in the SEC. I don't really see anything that says, here's the reason why. She led the Tigers to 5 20-win seasons, including a stretch of 4 straight, going from 2015 to 2019. But, yeah, it doesn't. I mean, there's obviously been some success more in the recent area. She has had some WNBA draft picks in her first 9 seasons, including 3 Missouri all-time leading scorers and Sophie Cunningham, who was selected 13th overall back in 2019. But the SEC has not been kind to her. It's kind of tailed off a little bit. But yeah, I don't see like a specific reason going, this is the reason we're hiring her. So who knows? I don't know. And again, because it has not had a lot of success, we don't pay a lot of attention to it. Maybe we should. But that's about all I know, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't want to sit here and pontificate about the hire of the women's basketball program because I just don't follow it enough to be fluid in it. You know? There you go. What else do we have? This is from Mark. Mark says, I do think Goody is on the hot seat going into this season. He hasn't necessarily had the best of drafts, and some of his first-round draft picks have not panned out. You are usually judged by what you do in the first round, not by what you do in the 5th round. While his 5th-round draft picks have sustained this team, they have not become all pros. You need all pros to be a championship caliber team. If you're only filling them in via free agency, then you're not doing your job, and it's either your scouting department or you making the picks, but ultimately he's responsible. I think this is a hot seat season for Goody. That is just my opinion. Appreciate the email. Who's this? This is T-Dub. Oh, T-Dub. Good to hear you. Where have you been, T-Dub, by the way? He says that looking at Matt LaFleur's season, he thought it was, as he has in parentheses, I agree with Grant, underwhelming. But we want to know whether or not Jordan Love is really that banged up. I think it all hinges on Love this year, which is another big reason that you could put Goody on the hot seat. If Love does not pan out and his mechanics don't change, then we're going to look at Goody as the guy that traded up to get him, only to have ultimate failure after Aaron Rodgers, and you paid the guy to be mediocre at best. This is a big year for the Green Bay Packers. Mark my words, T-Dub in Tulsa. T-Dub, you to man. T-Dub, you to man. So we got a lot of stuff over on the text line as well. David Monona, what's going to change over the last 6 years? Same results, same excuses, same plan. Do you really think anything is going to change this year? Should have been let go. Ryan of Manitowoc, if they fall short after the upcoming season, does LaFleur go in the hot seat before Goody, or did they hit the hot seat together? And again, I don't necessarily want to get into the hot seat discussion. It's just, again, I can't sit here and say it's going to go this way or that way because you don't know. You don't know what the problem is. You know, if you've got guys that are highly thought of and they're highly touted picks and they're getting their clocks clean and getting shoved all over the field, then you probably look at the guy that's evaluating the talent. If, you know, you've got an offense that doesn't seem to be fluid, you got the same disciplinary problems with pre-snap penalties and some of the emotional penalties that they're picking up in the personal foul area, and guys not, you know, knowing assignments and such, and the discipline not being there. You know, when it's a 20-yard route across the middle, you better be running 20 yards and not 15. You know, then you kind of look at the coaching. You know, then the talent's there. It's the coaching that's not holding guys accountable. But I think you got to look at it as it unfolds. You know, now here's the other thing. Suppose that things do happen to the opposite side instead of predicting doom and gloom. Say that what they said about Lucas Van Ness does become evident, and he does become the guy that they expect him to be, that after his thumb is healed, he's fully back healthy and he's taken that next step and he's ready to go. And you kind of go from there and things begin to go in the upward direction. Well, then that buys a lot of time because of what the vision was and what they saw behind closed doors of 1265 that then has turned out to be a formidable team. It just depends on how the season plays out. But it's going to start with the division. It's going to start with home field advantage and the division. And if they don't win at home and they don't win the division, and say it ends up pretty similar to what it was last year, where it's only, you know, it's only one win in the division, then I got to think that you're going to hear screams, whether it's from inside the building or outside the building. It's the screams will get loud. But let's say that they win the division. Then everybody just sits back and relax and go, okay, you know, you're back to the I'm all in, snorkel up, I'm diving in the pond, and Goody and LaFleur we trust, right? So you look at both sides, but you got to wait to see how it all unfolds. Because you can't just make an opinion under something that hasn't even happened yet. But I do believe going in, the eyes, the microscope, much wider, much more focused on this team going into this season. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Levine Ice Burner. I hope you never need an attorney, but if you do, they're the people to go to. They're not the faces all over TVs. They don't have a bunch of catchphrases. They just answer the phone when you call. They just have a relationship with you. They just actually go into court for you or do the litigation process for you. If you got a personal injury, if you got an estate plan, say civil litigation, they're the ones to call. 608-621-2888. 608-621-2888. Levine Ice Burner. You can trust them. You know why? Because they're the ones that actually answer the phones.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Being a Pella consultant means helping people build their dreams.
For Jenna, helping others find joy is so rewarding. It's why we love to do what we do.
I enjoy simplifying the process for the customer, taking the time to listen, and finding the right solution.
Randy understands that everyone's situation is different, so we don't just slap together cookie cutter solutions.
Customers really appreciate just how prepared we are. All the samples, the videos, pictures.
Jake arrives at your free in-home consultation with pre-prepared materials to fully envision your dream Pella build.
We're with you from start to finish. You literally have a friend from beginning to end and beyond with your project.
Whether you're working with Ryan or another Pella consultant, we don't go away after the sale. We're ready with anything you may need before, during, and after installation. And right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get 0% interest up to 72 months. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply in 3/31/2025.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Bill Michaels Show. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you choose to give us a buzz, that's the way. It's a great way to do so. As a matter of fact, give us a shout there. We always appreciate it when you do. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Epoxy Flooring Done Right. Go to epoxyflooringdoneright.com. That's epoxyflooringdoneright.com. And now's the time when you start thinking about the driveway and you start thinking about your garage and you go, oh, want to get that thing cleaned out before spring hits, and you get everything blown out of it, and then you get it cleaned up. There you go, epoxy it. Otherwise, what about say a rec room or maybe a basement in your home? They can do that as well. Go to epoxyflooringdoneright.com. That's epoxyflooringdoneright.com. Get a hold of Sean and the gang. They're based in Wisconsin, by the way, right here in Wisconsin. Go to 262-443-2852, 262-443-2852. There you have it. If JJ says playing Goody in poker, he'd be the one on the table holding his cards close to his chest and constantly counting his chips. You want that in a general manager. There's nothing wrong with that if you've got the right guys in place. You know, I don't have a problem with it. Nick says it's still wild to me that we have not heard anything regarding Jair Alexander. Didn't he I saw Josh Jacobs said something to him on one of the social media platforms, might have been Instagram, where he said, looking forward to working out with you soon, brother, or something like that. Did you see that, Grant, by any chance?
Nope, but I'm looking.
Yeah. Gosh, I gotta look it up. Because I saw that post, and here it is. See you soon, mate. 12 hours ago. And I don't have the audio of it, but it's Jair Alexander's walking around somewhere. I don't know where it is. He's walking down the street, and it's a video of him, Jair Alexander, from Facebook. And he's walking around and basically just Josh Jacobs says, see you soon, mate. So and again, it's weird because you're right. We have not heard anything in regard, but we didn't think we would. I mean, they could hang on to him until a corner goes down in camp and just say, look, you're ours till then or whatever. And then see if, he ends up being traded to another team. I don't know.
I think that's what the Packers have to be banking on at this point.
Right.
Otherwise, they would have cut him already.
You would assume.
Going to wait for a team to get desperate or lose their guy, or a team has a hope of getting someone in the draft and then they miss out, so they need to go to plan B or plan C.
Yeah, you would assume. But yeah, it's that was the only thing I saw off of Josh Jacobs' page. But he's responding to a video that Jair posted. I just don't know when this video was posted by Jair. So I couldn't tell you. But anyway, there you go.
I see a lot of Ravens buzz with Jair, and maybe it's just from fans, but I still see a lot of stuff online.
This was from Jair's reel back on March 19th. So it is relatively recent. So there you go. But that's the only thing that I've seen or heard. It's weird that you mentioned that because it just popped up today on my feed when I saw that, and I was like, oh, he's responding to him. But that's the only thing that I've seen. So, I mean, as of right now, he's still with the team. They haven't moved on. But yeah, it is a little weird that they have not done anything to adjust. You can't really adjust. If you're still thinking about trading him, you're not going to adjust the salary. You're not going to re-sign him, so to speak. That's why you just you're led to believe that they're going to do what they do.
Well, there's two ways to adjust the salary. Jair can give the Packers money and take a pay cut, which he's not going to do, and I wouldn't blame him. Or the Packers could extend him or rework the contract, but then you're pushing money out into the future. And I think a big reason why they want to cut bait with Jair now is they don't want this hanging around for 2-3 years down the line. They just want to cut this off so eventually this money goes away.
Yeah, you've got dead money this year would be 18.1, but ultimately would save you almost $7 million if you cut them loose. Next year's money actually goes up. I don't know what the dead cap money would be for next year. And then the year after that, the salary goes up, but I don't know what the dead cap money would be. Let me take a look at this again. So the dead cap money this year, if you cut them loose, would be 18.1. Next year would be 10.2. But you're not going to pay him $23.5 million or $24.5 million going into the season. You're not going to pay him that. You're just not going to do it. Don't get me wrong, and I've said this before. If Jair is healthy and can play an entire season, and he's all in, and you decide to take that chance, and he does play an entire season, him, Hobbs, Keyshawn Nixon, what you have in that secondary could be, it's a lot of money, but could end up being one of the best secondaries in football, right? You could end up with Jair. You could end up with Xavier McKinney and Evan Williams, Keyshawn Nixon, Nate Hobbs, Javon Bullard, Zane Anderson. You've got those guys, and then whoever else you draft along the way. You still got Oladapo back there, who you drafted in the 5th round last year. You still have depth back there. So it could end up being a very, very good secondary. I don't think that's even a part of the plan. I mean, I could be wrong. I said 10% of me says they could end up just hanging on to him. But I got to think that all quiet on that front right now is because they're still hoping to maybe make a deal. They're still hoping to maybe make a deal for Jair. So we'll see. 877-867-1670. Let's do this. We're going to go ahead and, JJ says reckless speculation is rampant. It is.
Sports Talk Radio.
Yeah,
that's what we do.
But I still stand by what I said a month ago and prior to that, even going back to the combine when Goody spoke of Jair. I probably said 85% of me said he was gone. Now I say 95% of me says he's gone. If they keep him, though, it doesn't blow me away. Then they would look at him and go, he's as healthy as he's ever been. Absolutely, positively, no problems. He's maybe expressed to them that he really wants to be a part of the program. He wants to remain in Green Bay. The grass isn't greener, whatever. I mean, that you would assume then that all is right with the world. But that's not what I think is going to happen. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. Who knows? Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, Bucks chatter as the Bucks get beat. And the Bucks have now lost 6 of their last 10, not trending in the right direction. Doc Rivers speaks out in almost a petty sort of way about the nitpicking of his record. And all of that is going to come to light when we return. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Pella Windows and Doors, Wisconsin. Pella, they have got something for everybody. They got the vinyl line of windows. They've got Impervia, which is as strong, if not stronger than fiberglass. They've got wood windows, the custom windows. They have got different types of innovations, whether it's the slider or the roll screen, the hidden screen, all the different things that can go on. Plus, it's curb appeal, it's value to your home, it's the economical factor, and the safety factor. When you lay your head on your pillow at night, you know nobody's busting in the doors or the windows. They lock up tight at night. Those doors lock up tight. They got the toe kicks to really put a pin in those things so they're really not moving. Even if you leave them unlocked, they're not moving. All of that plus 0%, 72 months. That's added bonus right there with Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Go to PellaWI.com. That is PellaWI.com or call them direct 855-PELLA-WI. That is 855-PELLA-WI. And see if you don't agree with me that they're the best windows and doors that are out there, because I've got them in my home and I swear by them. That's PellaWI.com or call them 855-PELLA-WI. That's 855-PELLA-WI.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Hey, ready to sweeten your game? It's time for Quick Trip's Nature's Touch Ice Cream. Ooh, making moves like the starting lineup of a championship team. Whether you're gearing up for the big game, celebrating a win, or just looking for a sweet break in the action. Chocolate, vanilla, cookies and cream, mint chocolate chip, and more. Yeah, there's no such thing as a bad pick. So why wait? Flavor doesn't scoop itself. Get your hands on your winning Nature's Touch Ice Cream flavor today. Only at Quick Trip.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Kuzma looking. Lopez on the fade. Won't get it.
Yeah, AJ kind of went too early. Knocked Giannis off strikes. We wanted Giannis to come up. Then he was supposed to pick Brook, and Brook was going over. So it is what it is.
Welcome back. The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. And they are now 4-6 in their last 10. The Bucks don't appear to be trending in the right direction at all at this point. Doc Rivers does an interview in which he wants credit for a 3-1 series lead, but yet his team ended up losing that series lead and ultimately losing the series. And that is getting wide criticism today. And to talk more about it, Justin Garcia, the Bucks Radio Network. Justin, how the heck have you been?
Bill, always good to catch up with you. Good. What about you?
I'm good. I keep picturing you walking around the studio in the Sansabelt pants and the white shoes from days gone by when you were our intern. Now look at you, man. It's fantastic.
Yeah, look how far we both come.
Right. Good stuff. Hey, now doing these night in and night out, you tell me what your impression of Doc Rivers is at this point, and then obviously the article where he wants credit for 3 games that his team won, but doesn't get enough credit for it because he ultimately takes the credit in a series in which his team lost after having a 3-1 series lead, and they ended up losing the next 3 games and lost the series. And for whatever reason, this sticks with him.
So I guess what I would say is I would love to have been able to hear this interview rather than just read it, because Doc, I mean, when you sit in on his press conferences and you'll hear, he'll say a lot of things in jest where he's only half kidding or half serious. And I wonder if that was part of the tone here. I think the larger point he's making, and he's talked about this a lot, is look, it's hard to win in the NBA. So give me credit for winning 3 games. Delicate approach, obviously, when you end up losing that series. But I think that's a larger point because we've heard him bring this up quite a bit in the past, 2 to 3 weeks here. When you look at losing to a Warriors team without Steph Curry, the Bucks winning games shorthanded as well. So he's just kind of made this point of it's not as easy as just let's go out there and play. This team's missing a player. It's easy to win. That's not the case in the league. I think just in overall what he's brought to the team, and look, he's a very polarizing figure and a coach. For that reason, you can point to some of those playoff records. I do think he brought a lot of structure and organization and just built-in knowledge and experience that this team was sorely lacking and really needed right around this time a year ago. I think when you listen to the players talk about the impact that Doc has had on them in terms, especially on the defensive side, we can get into the offense, which has been a much different conversation, but just knowing, hey, what are we supposed to do and level setting expectations? When he started, he didn't so much focus on, I told them we're going to do this, this, and this, as much as he said, we looked at everything this team was doing and basically said, you don't do that. We don't want this guy to do this. And Pat Connaughton, Bobby Portis, Giannis, and other players talked at the time about getting those expectations put out there and told, this is what I'm expected to do. That was a big change for us. And it was frankly one we needed that we didn't have the first half of the season. So I do think he's been better for this team than he gets credit for on that front. But the rest of it, I mean, he's not going to be able to shake it. Even if Doc Rivers wins another championship here, that's always going to stick to him. He knows it. And I think at times he has fun with it and kids around about it.
So I guess my next question is, when you give us some of the examples of how maybe things have been better, I don't see it consistently on the floor. And that's my biggest argument. Now, granted, there are some things where this team is older. They look slower. I watched them play against Boston. I watched them play against Cleveland. I watched them play against the Thunder. And in all instances, they just look a step slow. They just look like they're not at that same level. So I understand it. They're a good basketball team. Do you believe this team is more talented than their record, or they're about where maybe they should be?
That's a good question. I mean, I think they're probably about where they should be. I mean, they might be slightly more talented, but the big change, they have gotten a little more athletic. But look, you're not going to run from still having one of the older rosters in the league. And guys like Kyle Kuzma, again, the defense has been there, and you've certainly seen his ability to get out and run and pick up multiple positions. But the trade that you made was really twofold. It's got you a little more youth and athleticism, but it also kind of moved away from a top-heavy approach to the roster. And the Bucks aren't the only team doing this. It's going to continue to happen. I think we're all waiting to see when the Boston Celtics move to that approach as well. It set them up in a much better spot this summer and going forward because of the money you were paying that trio of Giannis, Damian Lillard, and Chris Middleton. And it wasn't really an issue until the games played were starting to become a factor. And look, we're fine with constructing our roster this way if we know we're going to have these guys every single game. And that just wasn't the case for the last year. So that became tougher and tougher to get by on. They do have a lot of flexibility this summer, but again, you're an older roster that, you look at, you got Giannis and Damian Lillard together now, you have to make the most of it. And to your point about the athleticism of other teams that we've seen, like, can you sit here right now and say, hey, the Bucks are just as good as the Celtics or the Cleveland Cavaliers? In this moment, no, I don't think you can sit there and say that. But the belief is we feel really strongly about our defense. And, for as much of an issue as it was a year ago, we haven't talked about it once this year because the Bucks have consistently been one of the 10 best defenses in the league. And in the second half of the season, they've been one of the 5 best defenses. It's been the offense, which is the tough part to fathom with Giannis and Damian Lillard on the same team. But now you're running into this stretch where Damian Lillard is unavailable. And some of the things that Doc had to say last night really make you question, well, when is Damian Lillard going to come back? Because the thought is, we feel good about our defense. We've improved our role players. And I think they have one of the best benches in the league. But none of that matters if you don't have Giannis and Damian Lillard, not only on the floor, but playing to the level that they're capable of. And that's what this team has just not had for the last 3 seasons.
To me, I think it's all about the postseason. It's just about get healthy for the postseason. And then there is going to be some, I don't want to say magical flipping of the switch, but almost that's what I'm looking for, where all of a sudden, okay, everybody's back, Bobby's back, fresh legs, the whole thing. And then that's when it really matters to them. Are we looking at that kind of a scenario where just get through the season, just trying to remain in the top 4, and then we'll flip the switch once we get there?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough with the flip the switch thing, but I do know that their belief is, look, wherever the cards fall, as long as we're healthy, if it means we got a more difficult road and you got to go through the Knicks in the first round and then the Celtics in the second round and the Cavs, if we're healthy, we'll take our chances because we believe in Giannis and Damian Lillard that much. It is, I don't know if I'd use the word concerning, but we've seen 3 straight games where Dame has been out. It's going to be interesting to see that injury report later today for tomorrow's game against the Nuggets and see where Damian Lillard is at, because Doc Rivers was asked before the game yesterday, is he progressing to the levels that you would like to see? If he's day-to-day, you're usually on the injury report as questionable, and he's just been ruled out the day of the game every single time. And Doc himself said, no, he's obviously not progressing if he's not playing, but I think that's the thing we're waiting to see is how much of this is, all right, this is a significant thing that Dame is dealing with versus he's not 100%. We've had 3 straight postseasons where one or multiple guys have gone down. Let's just take our time here and make sure he is 100%. Because at this point, the reality too is it might be 5 is your best case scenario. You're now 2 games back of the Indiana Pacers. You do have the tiebreaker, but Indiana has not lost since losing to the Bucks that Saturday night in Milwaukee. And that 2-game difference with 11 games left, that's a lot. It may not seem like it, but if the Pacers go 7-4, which is basically the rate they've been playing at, that means you got to go 9-2 the rest of the way to tie the Pacers with some still challenging teams on the schedule. So it's getting closer and closer to the point where you're looking at, okay, this 5 seed is probably where we're going to finish. And then that makes those final 2 games with the Pistons all the more big the last week of the season.
And again, if Dame has to sit out until the end of the season, I'm good with that. As long as they are back to full strength by the time they get to the postseason and they don't lose a lot, of ground over this. So I'm good with that. I just tell me when they get to the postseason, what Giannis is Giannis. We all know that. And
so
Dame
you want the hope.
You want to so there's hope. So is it the fact that they're all of a sudden Brook Lopez, like you mentioned, Brook Lopez, but that guy, God, he's just a machine, but he's coming up to the end of his deal. And how much can you beat on him in the postseason? You've got Kuzma, who has been somewhat impressive at times. You've got some young guys that have had the ability to kind of give you a little bit of energy. You're hoping to get Bobby Portis back, but what makes me believe that they are then going to be able to overcome some of the things that we have seen throughout the season just because we're in the postseason?
So, candidly, it's tricky. Like last year, if you look back at it, you at least had data points along the way that you could say, okay, I believe in this team for this reason. Their record against the 10 best teams in the league and their net rating in those games. The fact that they're starting 5 when it was Malik Beasley in there, that was the best 5-man grouping out there in the league throughout the course of the season. So you had some of these things you could point to and say, yeah, I don't know if flip the switch is the right way to put it, but I do believe in this team when you get to the playoffs. This year, you haven't had as many of those data points. I think that's been the biggest challenge and struggle in trying to really decipher what do we see in this group. That it's, I've joked a lot that hope is not a strategy, but it's really hope is what you can sell is, look, if Giannis is healthy and Damian Lillard is healthy, we like our chances against anyone. And I get that. And I feel very strongly about that as well. But you don't have that record against the best teams in the league. I mean, you're potentially going to be 0-10 against the top 3 seeds in the Eastern Conference, depending on what happens Friday night when you host the Knicks. Western Conference isn't much better either. They haven't been good on the road. Their net rating hasn't been great. I mean, these numbers have gotten better over the course of the season, but I think what you really would hang your hat on is, look, we have a defense that we really feel good about, and that is consistently gone from the bottom 10 and at times bottom 5 a season ago with most of the same personnel. It's been one of the 10 best, if not 5 best in the league this season. So we have a defense that is going to translate into the playoffs. We still like the makeup of our roster and our bench guys, especially. Now, granted, the shots haven't been falling recently, especially for AJ Green, but a few of those guys have talked about, I think this is, especially when we get pieces back, I think this is the best bench in the league with guys like Gary Trent Jr. and AJ Green and Bobby Portis when he's back in the mix. Even what we're seeing from Kevin Porter Jr. and Ryan Rollins, we feel good about the makeup of this group. We got those 2 stars, and we saw in limited window last year in the first round what Damian Lillard did to take it up another level in the postseason before that injury hit. So right now, that's it. Is, look, any series we play in the Eastern Conference, we are going to have the best player on the floor, but you need Damian Lillard to be the second or third best player on the floor in those series.
Justin, always a pleasure, pal. We'll touch base, maybe come the postseason and get you back on, okay?
Sounds good, Bill. Good to catch up with you.
There you go. Justin Garcia joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline. Always appreciate, it was the first time we've had him on, so we appreciate his time, but really good stuff. He's been with the Bucks Radio Network and the postgame show for quite some time. So good to touch base with him and good to, kind of pick his brain and get some perspective when it comes to the Milwaukee Bucks. We'll get Jim Ozarski was traveling today, which is the reason we could not get Jim on today. We'll get Jim either tomorrow or later in the week, but nevertheless, to get Justin on, always good stuff. Going to go ahead and take a quick break, wrap things up. The Bill Michaels Show continues next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Being a Pella consultant means helping people build their dreams.
For Jenna, helping others find joy is so rewarding. It's why we love to do what we do.
I enjoy simplifying the process for the customer, taking the time to listen, and finding the right solution.
Randy understands that everyone's situation is different, so we don't just slap together cookie cutter solutions.
Customers really appreciate just how prepared we are. All the samples, the videos, pictures.
Jake arrives at your free in-home consultation with pre-prepared materials to fully fully envision your dream Pella build.
We're with you from start to finish. You literally have a friend from beginning to end and beyond with your project.
Whether you're working with Ryan or another Pella consultant, we don't go away after the sale. We're ready with anything you may need before, during, and after installation. And right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get 0% interest up to 72 months. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply. And 3/31/2025.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Nothing but faith in nothing.
Welcome back. A couple of minutes before we get out of here. Tomorrow, back at it, home day. Home day! And that puts us 1 day away from Brewers baseball. Brewers in New York taking on the Yankees. I have not looked at the weather in New York for Thursday, to be perfectly honest with you, because I know that the Brewers have day games on Thursday, no game on Friday, just in case Thursday's game gets, canceled because of weather. And then they have day game on Saturday, day game on Sunday before coming back home for the day game on Monday to play back here at American Family Field back in Milwaukee. And I know the weather here is going to stink, but, having the dome and such. By the way, I had a question about how warm the dome gets. It gets up to about 65 degrees. I don't think they get it much warmer than that. Once you start putting, 35,000 plus people in there, it does get a little bit warm. But, I've said before, you still you still bring a jacket along. It's not like you walk in there and you go, woo, it's hot in here. And that's not it. It doesn't happen that way. So you still got to bring a jacket with you. But nevertheless, it's still going to be, it'll be nice inside, American Family Field. So for those that are, coming to the game on Monday, be comfortable out in the parking lot. And then once you get inside, it shouldn't be too bad. But I wonder what the weather is going to be in New York coming up on Thursday. So anyway, so good stuff today. Justin Garcia, Chuck Freeman. We'll get back with Jim Ozarski relatively soon and get his thoughts on all of this stuff with the Milwaukee Bucks. Anything else that happens to break along the way, specifically out of the NFL or any other news for that matter, if it's, basketball, football, we get into on Thursday, back into the NCAA tournament as well. Don't forget, so you got baseball, and then you've got the tournament is going to continue on. So that's going to continue to take place as they kind of wean down towards the championship. And then we're excited just about opening day and all next week. All next week is going to be just exciting. We're going to have baseball back, which is going to be great. You're going to have, inching into the month of April, which then gets us into a little bit closer and starting to feel a little bit closer to the NFL draft. A week from Friday, we're going to be broadcasting live in Columbus, Wisconsin for the debut of the new big unit cruiser, not to mention the grand opening of the new Marquardt RV Center out there in Columbus, Wisconsin. So we're excited about all of that. So we got a lot going on. I mean, this is kind of the ramp up. It's like, here we go. We're starting to get ready towards our summer months. So I'm excited. And then Grant heads off to Iceland, of all places. You leave the cold of Wisconsin, you head off to Iceland for a little while before coming back. So
from the lakefront to the
Iceland,
eastern continent, whatever body of water,
whatever that happens to be. Yeah, man. So, but it's all good stuff.